in that innings. But he's a tremendous player when he gets going against the white ball.
Does have a slight, I was going to say weakness, but his average is much less against left arm seam than it is right arm seam. Here is Stark coming again to Guptill. Bowls one outside the off stump. This one's crashed away again, carved out towards wideish third man where Zampa is fielding, and the leg spinner gets a good return throw back in over the stumps to prevent a second run. So Stark following his boundary with a single. Guptill following his boundary with a single moves to 5 and brings Daryl Mitchell, the semi-final hero, into bat. Watched by his father. The cameras were constantly showing his mother and father watching him throughout that semi-final victory, particularly the batting performance.
All irrelevant now though, isn't it? He has to start again today. He's on naught just like everybody else starts, and he'll be hoping for a big one. I mean, this is a massive game for all of these players, isn't it? A final of a global ICC tournament. You want to try and make your impact and contribute to your side doing well.
Mitchell, another right-hander, waits, and this one is played straight back towards the bowl. It's gone beyond Stark and collected by the fielder at mid-on for no run. It was full again. It was swinging back towards middle and leg there from Mitchell Stark, who's bowled a very full line in this opening over.
He's looking for swing, but there's not a huge amount there, is there, for him? And that's where we've seen quite a few of the left armers trying to swing the ball back into the right-handers' pads. And that's where Shaheen Shah Afridi has been dangerous as well. Mitchell Stark not getting a huge amount. Most of the balls are going across the right-hander. We've seen Guptill sort of flashing at the balls wide of his off-stump, and so far New Zealand will be quite happy with the way that ball's behaving early on.
Daryl Mitchell 72 off 47 in the semi-final, gets the next delivery on his pads and tucks it away nicely with a wristy shot towards backward square leg, fielded on the boundary, not particularly prettily, but it's going to be actually it's going to poor throw in as well towards the keeper, and they've got back for a second that probably shouldn't have been there. So New Zealand moved to, I've got 3 in fact, New Zealand moved to 8 without loss. They ran up the first one very quickly. There was a slight bit of dodgy fielding on the boundary, and then the bad return throw to Wade enabled Guptill to get back for 3.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad fielding, was it? But they kind of used the relay throw, and the relay was about 40 yards. You had to throw the ball back into the next fielder, and while that ball was rolling across the turf, they were able to turn and come back for the 3rd. Good start for New Zealand, this 8 off the first.
Yeah, here comes Stark again to finish off his over as he bowls once more to Guptill, and Guptill edges one just wide of Gully down to 3rd man, and it's collected by Zampa, who returns the throw. So 9 off the first over, a very good start for New Zealand. They'll be happy with that, and no loss of wicket as well.
Yeah, early signs are that it looks like a decent track. The ball's coming onto the bat nicely, so you're looking at a score, probably trying to get to a par score of somewhere about the 170 mark. That seems to have been quite common in Dubai, and that gives you bowlers a chance in the second innings to just kind of halt the progress of Australia. Obviously New Zealand's situation today, and we've seen, I mean, the dew factor has been spoken about a lot in the UAE. They were saying the other day in the semi-final in Dubai that the dew didn't actually make any difference. The dew didn't really surface. It's, it can be one day it's heavy dew, the next day it can be no dew at all. But what they were saying was, under the lights, as the lights take effect and it gets deeper into the evening, the ball still comes onto the bat quite nicely, so it is an advantage to bat second regardless of whether the dew falls or not. Obviously the dew factor is effectively like taking a cricket ball and dipping it into a bucket of water, because you're basically soaking that ball as it goes across the ground, making it wetter and wetter, harder to grip hold of, harder for the seamers to get shine, and harder for the spinners to really get a grip on it and get that turn. So it does play a part.
Hazelwood bowls, he's the man from the other end for Australia, and this one is back of a length into the ribs and jabbed away by Guptill to short mid-wicket, no run.
Is that what's on his CV, the man from the other end?
Yes. That would be his
his Twitter bio.
His James Bond baddie name, man from the other end. Richard Kettleborough standing with Mariah Erasmus, the 2 umpires for this showpiece final. Such a shame there's hardly anybody in the ground to enjoy it. I mean, this must be the only. I guess there must have been so many ICC finals down the years, World Cups, T20s, and other such games that will have had many more fans than this. This next delivery is defended by Guptill. Again, a length or back of a length ball really from Hazelwood, which gets the batsman playing off the back foot.
It's a decent smattering in there, but it's not by any means anywhere near full, is it, that stadium?
It's got to be the lowest attendance for any ICC final.
Oh, absolutely.
Men's.
This pandemic has had quite an impact on sport, hasn't it? Unfortunately.
Yeah,
and indeed beyond sport.
Here comes Hazelwood again to bowl, and this one again is played off the pads into mid-wicket. No run again for Guptill. He's just starting to struggle a little bit here, Martin Guptill. It's only a few deliveries, but 3 dot balls on the trot in the power play when he's already got, you know, a bit of a start with a boundary and some other shots for runs. He's just not quite timing at the moment.
I don't like the term catch up, because you should just go as fast as you can all the way through, but Guptill is one man that can suddenly hit 3 sixes and be ahead of the 100 strike rate very quickly indeed if he just gets the right ball.
Hazelwood in again, bowls, and this one's played punched off the back foot towards cover. Stopped there. They thought about a single anyway to Cummins, who was the man diving there, but there is no run.
Guptill nearly ran 4 runs there. He set off, he went back, he set off again. I think he set off about 3 times. Certainly, he certainly covered 22 yards there, but his partner wasn't interested.
It wasn't Cummins, it was Marsh, who misfielded slightly, but just managed to keep the ball close enough to the other fielder coming in from point to prevent that single being taken. There was just enough doubt in the batsman's mind there that they weren't going to risk it so early on in the piece. So 4 dot balls in a row for Josh Hazelwood. Comes in again and bowls. This one's banged in, just whipped away off the back foot down to fine leg for 4 runs. Well, I thought there'd be a fine leg fielder there. Usually the pace bowlers have one there, but he must have been too far round and he's gone for 4.
Yeah, lesson there from Martin Guptill. He didn't try and overhit that. He was short. He could have tried the full-blooded pull and tried to play it in front of square, but just got enough bat on that to make it go very fine indeed. And the fine leg's probably more on the 45 than on the very fine angle. That ran away very quickly. So yeah, continues the good start, and that catches him up, doesn't it? Now 10 off 9.
Yeah. As he waits for the final ball of Josh Hazelwood's first over, he's in again. Past umpire Kettleborough bowls, and this one's on off stump, and it's just defended out and towards cover where Marsh gathers, and there is no run. So 13 without loss after 2. Hazelwood going just the 4 off that over there. Good pace from him as well, and I thought he bowled a very tight line there actually, much better than Mitchell Starc did in the first over.
Yeah, I was thinking with bowlers like Hazelwood, he's very much line and length. He's a bit like Chris Wokes, isn't he, for England? And I saw Matthew Hoggard for Yorkshire bowled very much line and length as he tends to. That can be an asset if the ball's doing a little bit, but it can be a hindrance because the batsman can pretty much predict what you're going to bowl most of the time. So we'll see how Hazelwood progresses. But this is a huge day for both of these countries because, as I said before, neither have had their name on this trophy. It's a fairly young trophy, obviously, because T20 has not been around forever. But New Zealand, obviously, with their heartaches in 2019 against England in the Super Over. Australia have really underperformed in T20 in the past, so it's a chance for one of these two to get a little bit of a monkey off the back.
New bowler is Glenn Maxwell. The orthodox off spinner comes around the wicket and bowls to Mitchell, who lifts him high down the ground. It's got a long way back and it's a huge 6. So that's a real statement of intent from Maxwell, an informed batsman who's taken Mitchell, an informed batsman who's taken Maxwell to the cleaners there with the first delivery. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Statement of intent, because he's obviously, they'll have done their homework, New Zealand. Both teams will have done, and they obviously realise that Maxwell often bowls maybe 1-2 overs in the power play, and they decided not to let him settle. He's gone at him straight away, and now Maxwell is under pressure.
Yeah, Mitchell's 10th tournament 6. Waits again. Maxwell bowls, flighty delivery. This one's flicked off his pads down towards deep square leg, backward square leg there. It's fielded by Marsh, who's in that key fielded position there to the off spinner. Again,
that's good play from Mitchell. Didn't open prior to this tournament. He opened in a couple of the warm-up games, and then they obviously liked what they saw, like the combination of Mitchell and Guptill at the top of the order. And he's grown into the role. He's got better as this tournament's gone on.
Comes over the wicket now to Guptill, who waits for a slightly shorter ball, undercuts it, and it's slightly fumbled by Wade. It was into the ground anyway, but Wade's actually done pretty well to react and stop that one from going behind him for runs. Came off the bottom edge of the bat as he tried a back foot cut there.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically a chance that, but it's not.
Maxwell bowls again. This one's worked off the pads by Guptill for a quick single into a gap in the onside, fielded by Cummins. And they take 1 run, 8 off 4 balls in this over.
It'd be harsh to say that's a drop chance because he went into his glove, but keeper's going up, the ball's going down. Very difficult for the keeper in that situation.
Maxwell again bowls. This one's quicker and it's played off the pads by Mitchell to deep square leg for a single. So they're just taking Singles on offer after that big statement of intent from Mitchell off the first delivery.
I like that as well, because you've made your mark, you've already taken runs off this over, you're now just milking the over and making it a good over.
Maxwell to Guptill again. This one's played off the pads. Keeper Wade comes to gather, can't get a handle on it as Mitchell was struggling to make his ground. But like I say, keeper couldn't get his glove off and get the ball up in time. So they're through for a leg bye off the final ball of the over. That makes it 10 off the over in total, 23 without loss.
Yeah, a good start for this New Zealand. Usually in the first 6 overs you're looking to try and not lose wickets. That sets you a foundation where you've still got plenty of firepower to come through the rest of the 14 overs after the 6 over power play's gone. Obviously in the 6 over power play only allowed 2 men outside of the circle, so it does give you a chance to kind of pierce the gaps, go over the top and make your mark at the top end. As I say, the power plays in this match are going to be important. New Zealand want to try and maximise this first 6 overs and get as much on the board, but equally having no wickets down after 3. If they can still have no wickets down after 6 and be somewhere in the mid-40s, they will be delighted with the start.
We'll see more of Josh Hazlewood then. He went for 4 runs off his first over. Right arm quick, comes bustling in again to ball to Guptill, who gets one back of a length, cuts away. That's got through the cover and point field straight through to the boundary for 4 runs. Lovely shot played off the front foot, really. A front foot cut from Guptill with real aggression.
Yeah, there's the example of what I was talking about. No men outside the circle, only 2. You've got to be, as a captain, try and work with your bowler to put those 2 men that are outside the circle in kind of strategic places. And there's nobody on the cover boundary. We'll see later on people playing that kind of shot. There'll be a sweeper on the cover boundary, and just keeping it to 1. But at the moment, pierce the infield, you get maximum value.
Guptill going well. He's 15 not out now of New Zealand's 27 without loss. Hazlewood comes in again, ball's Fuller on the leg stump. This one's worked away through mid-wicket. Fielder on the mid-wicket boundary, or fielder on the deep square leg boundary, comes to mid-wicket to field, and they've taken 1.
So 5 off the first 2 balls of this Hazlewood over. And so, New Zealand will be looking at something like 45 for none, ideally, after the 6 over power play. Got plenty of batting to come, and it gives them the platform. Obviously, with the hindrance of losing the toss, having to bat first, you almost need to play probably 15%, 20% better than your opposition to win the match, it seems, than if you're batting second. So New Zealand need to make a bit of a statement, put pressure on Australia so that when they come to bat later on, they are really up against it. Need another kind of Matthew Wade performance.
Yeah, they've also lost a bit of a strength in the middle order, haven't they, with Conway out as Hazlewood bowls. This one's banged in and played out with a straight bat by Mitchell into the offside, fielded there by a tumbling Marsh, and there is no run.
I have to say though, if you're going to lose anybody, I mean, I know Conway's had a really good start to his international career, but during this T20 World Cup he's not been amazing.
No.
So it's, Tim Seifert comes in to take his place. I don't think it makes a massive difference to New Zealand, not on what's happened in the tournament so far.
28 without loss as Hazlewood gets ready to come in again. Mitchell on strike, open stance, goes into off the back foot and tries to force through the offside, and it's stopped by Marsh just inside the circle. No run. That was another forceful shot from Mitchell. His strike rate, incidentally, it was shown on the screen just moments ago, is vastly better in the middle and the late overs of a match than in the power play. Power play's strike rate's about 115, it goes up to 128 in the middle overs. That's over 6 to 16, I think. In the final 4 overs, or it might be final 5 overs, he goes at a ridiculous 170 odd. So his strike rate just gets better and better. He waits for a next one, a slow ball as he edged it through to Wade, who takes a low catch. He has done. Hazlewood's got the wicket. The semi-final hero Mitchell gone for 11. It was a slow ball that did for him at 82. I thought it was a bit slower than that, but he's played it loosely away from his body, and it's got a faint edge through to Wade. Yeah, big wicket for Australia. It was just New Zealand were making quite serene progress through the first 6 overs, and to pick up wickets in a T20, that's the thing that just kind of hauls the batting side back a little bit. 2 dot balls there after the 4 and the 1 off the first 2. Mitchell trying to find bat on ball and just getting the edge. So big wicket, Hazlewood strikes, and Australia are they'll now feel they're in this final. Yeah, it's just dampened the good start that New Zealand have made. That loss of Daryl Mitchell. Caught Wade, bowled Hazlewood for 11. He only took 8 balls to get there, but he had been unable to get the last couple away prior to that dismissal. It may have just preyed on his mind, and he played a loose shot, trying to work one away from his body when there was maybe a little bit of movement there from Hazelwood's delivery. It looked like a bit of a topspin the way it came out of his hand. It was rotating north to south, and I think it just possibly confused the batsman who got that faint edge. Good catch by Wade, though. Had to dive forward to take that low catch and managed to keep his gloves up to ensure there was no doubt over the veracity of it.
Yeah, I mean, Wade's having a very good end to this tournament, isn't he? And obviously his heroics with 3 successes, 6s on the penultimate over in the semi-final will be still fresh in his mind. But equally, going through the 6-over power play as a batting side, I think generally, if you lose 1 or 2 wickets, you can still think you're okay. It's if you start losing 3 or 4, that's when you start to think, maybe we're struggling a little bit.
Here's Hazelwood finish off the over. This one's wide of the off stump, cut away by Williamson, the new batsman, out into the offside, and there is no run.
And then you get rid of the opener, and Kane Williamson walks in, who is undoubtedly one of the best players in the world. T20 maybe his 3rd string, but he's still very capable of causing a lot of hassle for Australia today if he gets in.
Yeah, it's there's quite a few players in this tournament who you would say T20 might be their sort of 3rd string to the bow, but obviously still very useful for their countries. Just thinking about Matthew Wade as well. I mean, has he got any chance of knocking Tim Payne out of the Test keeper's job? I mean, is Payne so secure ahead of the Ashes there?
I think as captain he is, and obviously,
there's been talk though, hasn't there, about Bates Smith?
Well, I mean, I've done a few podcasts with some Aussies over the last few months, and most of them are saying don't think that Tim Payne is not getting criticised in Australia, because he is. I don't think Australia are that rapt about the fact that he's their skipper at the moment.
Guptill's on strike for Cummins is next, or Cummins is first over, and he bowls his first one outside the off stump. It's just run down towards point by Guptill, no run.
I nearly turned into an Aussie there saying rapt.
Yeah.
Rapt. But he's certainly not Teflon in that Australian side, and if England do get a good start, and I think England's chances in that Ashes series are in the first couple of Test matches, stake a claim, win one of them, get yourself in the series, and if that happens, then Payne will come under a lot of pressure. I mean, you've got a few potential wicketkeeper replacements.
Cummins in again, this one on a length and draws Guptill forward. This one comes off the top of the bat and squirts out towards cover, no run. Guptill now looking quizzically at the pitch there, as if that one just climbed on him a little bit from a good length.
Just kind of suggestion maybe it's a little bit too paced, maybe that some of them are kind of coming on and some of them maybe getting caught in the surface
I
a
think
bit.
There's some variable bounce out there.
Yeah.
I think we saw that in the wicket of Mitchell, the way he played that shot. I mean, I thought it was a slower ball when I initially saw him play at it, but it wasn't. It was 82 miles an hour. It just got stuck in the pitch. Cummins bowls again. This one's played off into the onside by Guptill, and it's collected by mid-wicket running in. It was Finch, the captain, who did the fielding, so no run there. There's some real pressure being applied now.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing here, I mean, certainly the first 3 overs, it was honours New Zealand, wasn't it? But that wicket that Hazelwood's taken, what wickets do, it not only kind of obviously adds one to the wicket tally, but it means that the batsmen just have to be a little bit careful. And New Zealand have just played within themselves for the last sort of 6 balls of this match, and therefore just lost a little bit of momentum.
Cummins steams in again and bowls to Guptill, who plays off his pads into square leg, deep square leg rather. It's going to be just one more run to the Black Caps total, but at least they get off 28, which they've been stuck on since the wicket. 29 for 1.
Australia's bowling attack's obviously very good, isn't it? Cummins is one of the best in the world, which will start left-hander in white ball, is very, very good. Hazelwood's good in all formats, but Zampa's been very pivotal to them, the leg spinner. I think his 4 overs today are going to be quite key to how New Zealand's innings goes, because a lot of last sort of 2 or 3 rounds of this tournament, a lot of the batting sides have really played him out. He's taken wickets and he's made a big impact, so how they play Zampa today could be quite key for New Zealand.
So it's going to be Kane Williamson to face Cummins here. 2 balls left in the 5th over. Cummins right arm over the wicket, past Erasmus to bowl. This one's played into the onside by Williamson, called through by Guptill. Another easy single.
Yeah, we were looking at mid-40s, weren't we, for New Zealand after the 6-over power play. We've got 7 balls left of the power play now, and they're quite a long way short of mid-40s, and they're only knocking the ones.
Short, I think,
yeah, so they'll be hoping for either a big 6th over or not to lose any more wickets, because if they end up being sort of like 38 for 1, or sorry, 38 for 2 or 3 at the end of the 6 overs, that is Australia ahead.
Cummins again finishes the over, bowls to Guptill, who edges one down to wide-ish third man. Backward points the fielder, actually. It's Smith who keeps the ball as he runs into the middle. That is the end of another tidy over from Australia, backing up the previous over there with just 2 runs from Cummins' first. It's 30 for 1 after 5.
I mean, what we've seen in this T20 World Cup is not massive scoring tracks, and I quite like these matches that are under 150, 170, 180 being a great score. And what we've seen as well is that just 1 over can just change the track of the game, can't it? First 3 definitely New Zealand's, then a 4th over where they take a wicket Australia, and all of a sudden the match is flipped a little bit. Next over goes for 15. New Zealand go back into the ascendancy. It's a terrific format from that respect, and both sides obviously very much in this match after 5.
I often think as well the 6th over, the last over of the power play, is so crucial, isn't it?
Yeah. Hazelwood then into the Kiwi captain, and he's squared up a little bit there, runs off the thick outside edge and goes to point, and there's no run. And again, Williamson just looking down at the track there a little bit suspiciously, isn't he?
Yeah, I definitely see from the way the New Zealanders are now, like say, eyeing the pitch. Guptill, we saw it in the previous over. Now Williamson's having a look as well. They're not happy with the way the ball's either coming on or not, depending on where the ball's pitched, and it's definitely, I think, would mean that we could be revising this potential score from New Zealand down well below 160 now.
Hazelwood in again. This time Williamson is he's on the back foot and he's beaten there, and it trickles back down the track to Hazelwood. He feels off his own bowling. But this has been one of the factors, Simon, in this tournament where batsmen haven't been able to necessarily get into a groove and trust the surface in the first innings. And then we've seen in the second innings the ball coming on a little bit better to the bat, and that's why teams batting second, regardless of the dew factor, seem to have had the advantage in these matches. At the moment, New Zealand's struggling to kind of time the ball and be consistent. In comes Hazelwood again then, 30 for 1 after 5.2, New Zealand, and that's outside of the off stump and punched up to mid-off, and again no run, finds the fielder. David Warner's there, gets the ball back to Matthew Wade and claps his compatriots. A word of encouragement from the opener. He's coming back into form as well, which is not great for other teams facing Australia, because it's always good for Australian enemies, if you like, in inverted commas, to kind of laugh at David Warner not getting runs, but when he's in good form he can take matches away from you. So New Zealand will be hoping he gets a low one today as Hazelwood bowls again. This time it's defended by Williamson. 4 dot balls in this 6th over, and you were talking about the significance of the 6 over, and at the moment it's certainly advantage Australia.
Yeah, I mean it tends, I think, to be an over which can unsettle batting teams, as they feel as though they have to go for it, because it's the last over of the fielding restrictions, the last chance to really get full value for those shots to areas which are going to be covered by sweepers in 2 deliveries time as we stand right now, and it can lead to mistakes. But I think Kane Williamson is so suspicious of this pitch, he's not playing any attacking shots.
See what Williamson does with this one then, is it's a little bit fuller and it's driven into the cover region. Again it's a dot ball, and I tell you what, if Hazelwood can finish this over off with another dot and 6th over maiden, that'll be terrific for Australia. But what we have seen from Australia from New Zealand in this tournament, with the likes of Phillips, Neesham to come in their middle order, maybe a slightly longer tail today for New Zealand, but they have trusted the final 10. They've not necessarily been that explosive in the first 10, but they've trusted themselves to be able to come back even in the final 4 and put their foot down and still get a decent score on the board. Williamson this time, he's swinging this one away leg side. It's gone high. Has he got the distance? He hasn't, but there isn't a fielder out there, and around comes Marcus Stoinis, gets the ball back in, and they come back for 2. But that was a false shot really from Kane Williamson, got away with it, finishes it with 2 from the final ball. And after the 6th over power play, New Zealand 32 for 1.
Yeah, he was trying to hit him out of the ground, and it just went straight up in the air, but fell to position that was beyond the inner ring and nowhere near the one man out there on the leg side field, so he got away with it. 32 for 1 is not a great start here for New Zealand, but at least they've only lost the 1 wicket.
New Zealand's lowest power play score in this T20 World Cup.
I just worry that this is a win-toss-win match situation again, James. You mentioned it. It looks such a difficult pitch to bat on now, but you can just imagine that later on it's going to get so much easier with the ball skidding on under the lights. I mean, we're under the lights now, I guess, but it'll be a bit more pronounced later on. And that's just going to favour Australia massively as they chase down this.
I did say to somebody the other day when we were talking about this World Cup was that you could have almost played this World Cup on Zoom. Batting order to open his shoulders a little bit later on, if he's still there.
England surely missed a trick then by not making Joe Root the T20 captain, because he always wins tosses, doesn't he?
Well, it's quite an advantage, isn't it? Virat Kohli notoriously loses tosses,
Yeah.
and wherever India, they didn't make the semi-final, so it has played a part. Kane Williamson 3 off 8 so far. Slow start for the Kiwi captain. Maxwell bowls to him, and Williamson just nudges that one past the bowler and goes through for a single. He's a very canny operator, Kane Williamson. He won't be phased by the scoreboard. He will just play his role. His role at the moment, I think, will be to support Martin Guptill. Martin Guptill will be the aggressor, I think, of the two. In these middle overs, around the wicket comes Maxwell again, defended by Guptill, who certainly on that occasion was not the aggressor. Just the run rate at the moment, less than a run a ball, 5.23. New Zealand need to get a little bit of a wriggle on as Maxwell bowls again. This is driven into the cover region. There's a fielder out there now. As we said, some of the early gaps have now been plugged on the boundary edge. So one more to the score, 35 for 1. Run rate 5.25. New Zealand need to up that if they're going to have something to say in this T20 World Cup final.
He's looking leg side, isn't he? Williamson, he's looking at all those leg side boundaries here.
He goes leg side as well as he goes on the back foot and nudges that to wide, long on. Fielder down there is David Warner, who comes into the edge of the 30-yard circle, gets the ball back in. So it's just singles in this over from Glenn Maxwell. 4 singles and a dot so far. As Williamson watches Martin Guptill face the final ball. And that's again nudged down to long on, keeping David Warner honest down there. But it's again just 5 singles from the over. 37 for 1 after 7. Guptill's on 20. Williamson's on 5. And it feels like a little bit of a chess match at the moment. New Zealand don't want to try and play their cards too early. Want to try and keep wickets in hand. And they don't want to take too many risks. And while that's happening, Australia are just growing confidence.
Definitely. I think they're going to have to bowl very well, aren't they, New Zealand? You know, the spin bowlers as well. I thought Santner looked a little bit, should we say, inaccurate at times against England in the semi-final. He's not had a great tournament, Santner. I think Ish Sodhi has done a good job. But those two guys are going to have to bowl really, really well, I think, to keep Australia from overhauling what at the moment is looking like it's going to be at best, par score of 155, 160 for New Zealand.
New Zealand certainly have the bowling attack to trouble Australia if things go right for them. They need to take the catches, they need to field like demons, all the things you need to do to be successful in the field in a T20. Adam Zampa into the attack, who has had a terrific tournament so far. What can New Zealand do against him to unsettle him today? Well, the first ball is just punched down to long off, and there's just the single. Zampa's been growing in confidence visibly as this tournament's gone on. Puffs his chest out and looks like a man that wants the ball, knows that he's bowling well. New Zealand will want to try and unsettle him a little bit. He's got the second most wickets in this tournament. Hasaranga, who currently tops the charts with 16, also played 3 preliminary matches in Oman in the qualification process. So Zampa, of the main protagonists in the main T20 draw, the Super 12s beyond, is the leading wicket taker in the tournament as the next ball's punched off the back foot by Williamson out to cover, and there's just the single.
Well, they have won 2 matches batting first in this tournament, but it was against the group minnows Scotland and Namibia. They beat Scotland by 16 runs. Batting first, Guptill made his 93 in that match, and then beat Namibia a couple of days later by 52 runs. There's Sharjah.
Zampa bowls, and this is defended into the offside dot ball. I did both of those games as well, and on both those occasions you felt, even if it was just for short periods, that Scotland and Namibia were both in those matches because they had that advantage of batting first and batting second and having a chance to chase down. Zampa's short outside the off stump, but only driven as far as cover, and Guptill's just losing his shape a little bit even, and being a little bit negative at the moment. He's 21 off 27, and the Australians in the crowd at the moment. 25 dot balls already in this New Zealand innings, and we're not even at the halfway stage yet. And Zampa over the wicket bowls, and Guptill this time is on the back foot and again just nudges it into the offside to go through for a single. Think about the second, but it's not there, and settle for the 1. So just the 1 ball left of the 8th over. And when it's 25 dot balls at this stage, that's like half of the balls that have gone down at the moment have been dots. So effectively you're playing a T10, aren't you? And you're only trying to score off half of the balls that have gone down. Zampa's heat map on the screen. It's kept it very straight. Been hard to get away. Just 3 singles from his 5 balls so far, and the last ball driven straight back to him. So a good first over from Adam Zampa. He's been taking wickets, been economical, and just the 3 runs from his first. 40 for 1, 8 overs gone. Guptill 22, Williamson on 6.
Yeah, his hairstyle's got better as the World Cup's gone on, hasn't it, Zampa? It's growing out from the absolute catastrophe that happened. I don't know if it was a DIY haircut he gave himself, but it's like, let's go back to his bowling though. He has bowled very well, hasn't he, in this tournament, Zampa? He's been a very, very strong pick for Australia, and then they've backed him for quite a few years now in this format, haven't they? He's their leg spinner, he's their primary mystery spinner in this format, and they've really given him all their backing. They've had 1 or 2 others in the squad and around the squad, but he's always been, I think, the go-to guy. I think his performances have kept him in the side, even when the team's been struggling, really.
Mitch Marsh into the attack with his kind of medium bowling, driven through extra cover, beats the fielder inside the circle, but the long off gets in quickly, and it's just another single. So at the moment New Zealand are dealing in dots and 1s. That's not going to get them to a very big score. Somebody's going to have to take the initiative, somebody's going to have to really up the ante. We've seen, I think, a lot in this tournament. The first 6 over power play, then you've seen 4 overs up until the end of the 10th, then they have the drinks break, and then you often see them just go up a gear from sort of 10 to maybe the end of the 15th, and then they go up to full pelt for the final 5 or 4 or 5. So it looks like New Zealand are kind of sticking to that strategy. Score predictor at the moment is 157, and that's would require 9.8 and over from here, as Marsh bowls again, and this time it's forced off the back foot by Kane Williamson. Goes down to long off, and they go through for another 1. New Zealand are fairly unflappable kind of race, aren't they? They are fairly level-headed. Kane Williamson almost epitomises their style. He's a very calm, calculated kind of captain, and I'm sure he's not panicking just yet. As Marsh comes into bowl to Guptill, and this time it's swung away off the back foot, this time pulled in front of square. It's just going to be the 1.
Another mistimed shot though, James. Yeah, like I say, just the 1 run, but he's trying to pull that one square or behind square even, and he's got it so straight it's gone out towards mid-on. And
he's gesticulating there to his partner Kane Williamson, almost like it's not coming onto the bat. I had to kind of wait for that, and it's not easy out there for New Zealand to just go up a gear at the moment. They're having to just be mindful of the fact they've still got 11.5 overs left of this innings, and it has been last 12 balls, 9 runs, 3 dots, and just the singles. So we've been a while since we've had a boundary hit.
Last boundaries, it would have been maybe the 6th.
5th over. Well, the 6th was a maiden, wasn't it? So that's no, just 2 runs off it. Next ball dances down, forces over extra cover. 4 runs for Williamson. 47 for 1, and finally the New Zealand fans in the crowd able to just dance a little bit and celebrate some success, because first time Williamson's really shown any sign of aggression.
Yeah, he swung his bat at it, carved it away off a sort of cross bat, and yeah, he's found a nice gap there. One bounce into the fence for 4. Sort of liberty you could take with Marsh that perhaps you won't be able to take over another sort of quicker bowler from Australia.
Last 12 balls now, 12 runs as that boundary registers on the scoreboard as Marsh, 2 balls left of this 9th over, comes in. He's got Williamson against him again, and this time he's pulled hard in front of square, and there's successive boundaries, and all of a sudden the Kiwis just breaking their shackles, bring up the 50, 51 for 1, 8.5 overs gone, and Williamson's caught up, 15 off 15.
Yeah, it's a cracking shot that from Williamson, really authoritative stroke, got onto the shorter ball and really thrashed it through wideish mid-wicket. Very, very good shot. He flew off the bat, and yeah, no chance for the fielder, who was only about 10 yards away from it, from stopping that from hitting the rope. I thought Marsh should have a big role today. He might still do, but he's being taken apart here by Williamson.
Last ball then, what can Williamson do here? He goes down the track, he tries to swing that one away leg side, doesn't make contact, hits him on the body, and it's a dot ball to finish the 9th. We saw Martin Guptill go down the track too. The first ball Maxwell bowled and hit him over the top for 6, but that Williamson pull in front of square has been the only shot other than that in this innings where an attacking shot has been played, and has been played with 100% authority.
Yeah, not been many have there. They just look very suspiciously at the wicket. I think we got to the point now with Williamson where he's decided that he's going to have to almost die trying, if you like. He's just got to go for it, go for his shots. If it doesn't come off, then those other batsmen who are also very well known for big hitting in the late overs will come in, and they'll have a few overs to work themselves in, and then they'll have to go for it. But yeah, I think Williamson's just decided now is the time he needs to break free of his shackles, somewhat self-imposed shackles in a way. Those 2 back-to-back shots. And I think he was going for it on the final ball as well. It was a good bouncer from Marsh, wasn't it? He dug it in when he saw Williamson come in. He was looking to play in a very aggressive shot to the final ball there. That could have been 3 boundaries on the trot. He was certainly trying for another boundary there, but good intelligent bowling from Marsh prevented him as he hit him on the helmet, I think, with a good bouncer.
Seems a rather strange time to take drinks, doesn't it, that, with one more over to go until halfway. Yeah. I mean, I imagine drinks will come out after 10 as well. The umpires were looking a little bit suspiciously towards the cool bag that came on with the drinks, etc., but didn't say anything. It's their job to speed it up, as that's short from Zampa and swung away into the leg side by Martin Guptill. Again, doesn't time that, and it comes off almost like a bottom edge and trickles past the edge of the 30-yard circle. Just the one more to the score, 52 for 1. And getting towards halfway stage. New Zealand, though, will be buoyed by the fact they've still got 9 wickets in the dugout. They've got just the 1 wicket lost so far, which was Daryl Mitchell. As Zampa continues, Williamson's a very good player of spin, just goes on the back foot and just dinks this into the leg side. They're thinking about a second as it just trickles to the edge of the 30-yard circle, but I think it's Glenn Maxwell there. He's in very quickly, stops him going back for 2. In fact, it was Stoinis who came in like a hare after the rabbit, after the whatever. What the hares chase? I don't know.
Turtle. I don't know.
A turtle. Zampa bowls again. This is short and just punched off the back foot, and they go through for 1 as the fielder comes in from long off. Guptill's been very steady for him so far, just 26 from 32. Kind of maybe just epitomises what struggles there are out there for New Zealand. Williamson 16 off 17, 54 for 1 after 9.5 overs, and Zampa being very economical. 9 balls bowled, just the 6 singles. As he comes in again, bowls tossed up and driven into the offside, just finds the gap wide of the left hand of the fielder inside the circle on the cover. And it goes through for another 1. So Zampa yet to leak anything more than 1. If he can do that all the way through and add a few dot balls, it's going to be his day today. The current run rate 5.69. Have gone up a little bit in the last 3 overs, but just 6.75 from the last 18 balls as well. Zampa bowls, and this is just dinked out again into the cover region, and it's just the 1. New Zealand just happy and content at the moment to rotate the strike and get the singles, keep things ticking. One ball left until we're halfway. Then I do think after 10 they will start to maybe be a little bit more adventurous, even if it's just one of them goes and Williamson decides to carry on playing as he is doing. I think we'll see Guptill being a little bit more attacking. Zampa to complete his over down the track, just driven down to long off. So we are at halfway, 57 for 1 on the scoreboard. Even I can work out that run rate. 5.7, Guptill's on 27, Williamson's on 18. And New Zealand have laid a platform, got 9 wickets left, but got plenty to do before they can really make Australia sweat.
Yeah, maybe 2 overs where they've had double figures so far. New Zealand, is it enough at the moment? I mean, clearly it's not enough at the moment, but you know, I fear that Australia, when they chase, will be well ahead of the asking rate by this stage, and it's going to need a huge effort now in these final 10 overs.
If New Zealand just kind of stumble up to 130, 135, that's not going to really be putting Australia under too much pressure. They're going to need the likes of Trent Boult, Tim Southey and co to really roar in and take some early wickets in the power play to put Australia on the back foot, and even then Australia will still fancy their chances. So New Zealand do have to use the final 10 overs, use them productively. If they can add another 100 from here, get up to like 160, 170, then they are in this final. But you feel that they're going to have to get kind of 170 or so to really put Australia under pressure.
I think that will be a figure that would probably be being talked about right now in the middle between the two, Guptill and Williamson. You know, can we get 120 off these next 10 overs to get 170 something and make this a big ask for Australia batting second? And
they're capable of doing that, Simon. They're capable of doing that. Yeah. I mean, we've seen regularly in this tournament, the last 5 overs, you can get 12 and over.
They're a 6 hitting team, aren't they? Yeah, they're a team who...
You can definitely go along at 12 and over in the last 5 overs and add 60 in that last quarter. So it's kind of, I guess what might just swing this final is what they can do from 10 to 15 now.
Yeah.
Do they just carry on just dinking it around, or will somebody take the initiative and really try and put Australia on the back foot? Because when a batsman starts to actually be aggressive, hits a couple of sixes or hits a couple of boundaries, it starts to make the bowler think a little bit more as well.
Chris Jordan had a nightmare over, didn't he? But
all of a sudden their challenge is different, isn't it?
Yeah, he kind of lost his way a little bit, didn't he, there? I think he'd actually lost his way a little bit before the sixes started raining down there as well. The first ball of that over from Jordan, which just sort of really, I think the tide had already turned before that. Maybe a couple of balls before that we saw the tide had turned, but it really did emphasise that there was a big comeback on the cards in that semi-final when Neesham and Mitchell were really the aggressors. Neesham still to come. Mitchell is out, the only wicket to fall so far in the opening 10 overs. 57 for 1. We're about to resume after the scheduled drinks break interval, and it's Guptill 27 not out, Williamson 18.
And it's the 4-1 that gives New Zealand hope. They've got 9 wickets in the hut. They can afford to lose wickets now in trying to be aggressive.
Gone back to Stark here, the left arm quick for his second over. Round the wicket to Williamson. This one is on off stump and played with a cross bat down the ground for a single to long on. Jogged through. 58 for 1.
Both Guptill and Williamson. You've got Phillips to come as well, he's a 6 hitter. He's a big lad. I mean, he's not a big lad in terms of height. He's got a big chest and big shoulders.
No one's hit more sixes in 2021 in T20 cricket than Glenn Phillips.
So I mean, if it's his day, and equally that will be at the back of these two's mind, that you don't want to be wasting balls here because there is power to come.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get on with it. Otherwise, you might as well stand aside and let somebody else come in.
Stark coming round the wicket again to Guptill. Change of line here from Stark, and this one's in the slot and driven down the ground. Lovely shot from Guptill. There is a man at long off for him, and it will only be one, but that one really came onto the bat nicely. He went through with a flowing drive shot. It wasn't just a check drive. He really had some intent behind that one, did Guptill.
But what New Zealand don't want to do when they kind of go to bed tonight, they don't want to think, oh, we never really gave this a go. They don't want to die. Go down all guns blazing. Lose 9 wickets and get all out for 120, and at least think you've done something proactive, not just knock it around and get up to a score that you can't defend here and then regret it later.
Stark on his way again for the third ball of the over to Williamson, who goes back and forces this one in the air, but it's going to go out towards long off again. Has to come around his right arm. Yes, he's a left-handed batsman, isn't he? But he throws in right-handed there, does Warner. They're back for the second, I believe. Yeah, they got 2 there.
We've got the little graphic on the screen now. The little cartoon graphic shows them running.
Yeah, but they're always one short on that graphic. They never actually make it to the ground.
Yeah, I don't know who's operating that graphic. It's certainly not an overhead of what they're actually really doing. It's a little bit more intense so far in this over, isn't it? What Mitchell Stark does give you is a little bit of pace on ball.
Stark in again, and this one's full toss. This one's in the air, out towards the D, but it's dropped over the boundary by Josh Hazelwood. A shocker from Hazelwood. It was in his hands. I think he lost it in the lights possibly, but it was in his hands and out again, and it bounced onto the rope and has gone for 4 runs. It should have been out though. Kane Williamson has played a cross-bat slog to a full toss from Stark and got away with it big time. Yeah,
he danced to leg, then went across to off, and Stark didn't really kind of change his line to Williamson, allowed him to play that shot to leg, but he should have taken that catch. We don't know quite the significance of that moment in this T20 World Cup final, but we might look back on that and think, wow, massive moment.
Yeah, big let off for Kane Williamson, who moves to 25 off 22. Stark round the wicket again, balls. Williamson drives him down the ground. That's a lovely shot for 4 runs. It beats the long off fielder.
How often do you see that as well? We saw that in the semi-final when Matthew Wade was dropped by Hassan Ali on the mid-wicket fence. A fairly easy catch for Hassan Ali. Let it go through his fingers, and then 3 balls later, Wade had hit successive 6s, and Australia had won. And how often do you see a batsman who is dropped then punish the bowler and just rub salt into the wounds there? That's a beautiful shot for 4.
Yeah, slow ball might serve Stark well here, rather than the full-paced, full-pitch deliveries which he's been serving up. The full toss followed by the full delivery next up. Both went for 4. Here he comes again, Stark round the wicket. He bowls a full toss. This one's up in the air. He's forced it out towards deep mid-wicket, and it's going to go between 2 fielders for 4 runs.
That'll be a no ball as well. That was above waist high, I think, so it's going to be a free hit. Yeah, Erasmus, the umpire, stretches his arm out, and now this over is starting to be perfect for New Zealand. We were talking after 10 that now is the time to maybe just up the ante a little bit, and all of a sudden New Zealand, just with a drop catch that went for 4, with a no ball that goes for 4, now a free hit. This is the over where New Zealand have just started to exert their authority again.
To get that away for 4 as well by Williamson, when it was, like I say, an over belt high full toss, was a remarkable hit from him. And it comes at a time now where the pressure is really on Mitchell Stark, who's still got 1 ball left now after the 3 hits.
17 off the over so far, 1 to come.
Comes into Williamson. Ball's full outside the off stump. This one's cut away off the toe end of the bat. Probably won't go for 4. Stopped on the boundary rope there by Stoinis, who from his knees throws it back in. They're back for 2 anyway, but it's a huge over and maybe a real game-changing over in this innings. Now New Zealand 76 for 1 after 11.
Yeah, 19 taken off that over by New Zealand. Kane Williamson will be full of confidence after that. Some days as well, as a sportsman, you think, wow, maybe it is my day. You'll have seen that drop down there on the fine leg boundary where you'll have thought, oh, that's me done. All of a sudden he gets a second chance and thinks, right, now is the time for me to go now. And New Zealand will be really buoyed by that 11th over. That was a really good stop by Stoinis, by the way, on that final ball, because that was timed beautifully.
It was, yeah. It was a really well-timed dive.
Saw David Warner just run across about 60 yards ago and just pat him on the backside and say, well done, which is good to see from Australia's point of view. He was. I saw Stoinis. He was on a video podcast in the after the semi-final, where they're asking about that little partnership he had, or big partnership that he had with Matthew Wade, and he did an impression of Matthew Wade where he was all wide-eyed and fidgety, saying, "It's all right. There's more pressure on them than us," but looked, kind of suggesting that Matthew Wade was hyper and massively extended, sort of like psychologically, but was trying to play it down and say they're up against it, not us. But it was quite a nice little moment.
It's Adam Zampa now. Leggy comes in. This one's swatted away by Guptill out towards the deep mid-wicket boundary, where it's going to be caught this time. He took a couple of steps back there, Stoinis, but he knew he was safe inside the rope, and he takes the catch to dismiss Martin Guptill for 28. It's 76 for 2.
On most of the other grounds in this tournament, that would have been 6 runs, but Dubai's got quite long boundaries, square of the wicket, and Guptill has obviously kind of bided his time there. He's batted through the first 10 and thinking, right, now it's time for me to really make the most of this. And he's pretty much paid the price with his first aggressive shot for quite some time. He'll have watching that through the air. Decent catch, but it's a catch you'd expect him to take out there. And yeah, Australia will be very, very happy to get rid of Martin Guptill, because he could, if he'd batted out and been aggressive for 5 or 6 overs, made a big difference.
He hit 3 4s. He was going for his first 6 when he was caught out, maybe only a yard in from the boundary.
28 off 35 though for Guptill. The way he plays, that is not a Martin Guptill innings by any stretch.
No. Just for one moment there, one horrible moment, I thought Stoinis was going to walk back onto the rope. As he took that catch, he took one step backwards, and I thought, what are you doing? But he knew where he was. He knew he was 2 or 3 steps in from the rope.
Imagine if he'd done that after the Hazelwood drop in the previous over. It'd have been, yeah, that would have been a real kick in the teeth for the Australians. But yeah, they'll be really happy. I mean, Hazelwood will be happy. Obviously, it's a different batsman, but yeah, the fact they've taken a wicket very quickly after his drop will maybe ease his pressure on him a little bit, because you feel it. You know, if you drop a catch at any level,
he's got one more over to bowl as well, Hazelwood. So you know,
I don't care if you're on your local club ground or whether you're in the World Cup final. You drop a catch, you feel like you've let everybody down.
Well, Glenn Phillips is in at 4. He's come up the order after Conway's injury, so Tim Seifert will have to wait for his chance. The 24-year-old right-handed bat, T20 international ranking of 40, is going to stand by and watch Williamson face the next delivery from Zampa. And he's forward and he just prods this one out. So there's a bit of uncertain calling, running. There's never a single there as it goes out towards point, and no run.
We noticed there, after the wicket, Williamson's first shot is a forward defensive. Again, that wicket just creates another dot ball. It's just built the pressure. It just kind of transfers the spotlight back onto the Kiwi batsman.
Zampa again full, and this one's whipped away through mid-wicket by Williamson out towards Stoinis. And there is just a single there.
This is a chance for Glenn Phillips. He's played a few innings in this tournament which have been promising, if not massive. This is his chance to make a real contribution and be the New Zealand hero, because he is capable of absolutely smashing this attack all over the place. You know, as you mentioned, he's a 6-hitter. He's got more in T20 internationals this calendar year than anybody else, and he's played in T20 franchises around the world and been, yeah, pretty much instrumental in their success too. So New Zealand will be hoping this is his day, because if it is, A, it's going to be entertaining, and B, it probably makes this match a lot more competitive.
His strike rate by phase, remarkable, 194.7 in the final few overs. He's got to get there first as he faces his first ball and plays one off the pads from Zampa. Looking for 2 here, but there's not a second run there, certainly not according to Williamson, whose call it was, and they stay with 1 at 78 for 2.
That's the other thing about Phillips, is that he's very quick. We see him on the, as a boundary rider, he gets the ball very quickly, and between the wickets he is express.
Yeah, he dropped to catch though, didn't he, against England? Final ball of the England innings. Didn't he drop? Was it Morgan, I think? But yeah, he fielded very well in that match. As Zampa drags one down, this one's pulled away, but not quite timed by Williamson. Probably only should be 1 run out towards deep square leg. They're coming back for the second. The throw is not in time though. Williamson scampers home, beats the throw from Stark.
Yeah, Stark's got a good arm on him, so you need to make sure that Williamson judged that well. 2 runs to him, and Zampa though continues his fantastic T20 World Cup. 1 for 13 from 2.5.
Yeah, still got a bit of a baby face about him, but I think he's well into his mid-20s now, if not later 20s. Zampa comes in again and bowls. This one is forced out to the offside, a sort of groping sort of nudge into the point region where it's fielded by Cummins. Just 1 run.
Well, I'll tell you what, he couldn't be much more late 20s. He's 29 years, 228 days.
Wow.
So yes, I think you're saying late 20s is about right.
Yeah. Could be on for it'll be early next year, isn't it? His birthday, I think.
Yeah.
He'll be 30. Maybe during the Ashes. Perhaps just after the Ashes.
A few people enjoying the hospitality there in the Dubai Cricket Stadium.
There's a few VIPs, aren't there, enjoying themselves. End of tournament party. Maxwell's going to come into the attack again. He's bowled 2 overs, 0 for 14 so far. The off spinner.
Sean Pollock, the South African, in the crowd today. There's a few of the great and the good of recent cricket world sitting there enjoying the occasion. There's probably invited guests today. 81 for 2 after 12. Everybody there will be just hoping that New Zealand posts something that makes this into a cliffhanger. You want, as neutrals watching this, you want this to go into the final over as a as a nerve rattler, don't you?
Maxwell round the wicket. Williamson goes with a big pull and misses it. There's a shout for LBW from the bowler. They come through for a scrambled leg by.
I'll tell you what, that's the worst appeal for LBW I think I've ever seen. That's pitched outside leg, would have missed leg, or probably bounced over. I don't think that had anything going for it at all. Aaron Finch, don't go upstairs with this. Don't go upstairs with this.
Well, he's not decided yet. He's still thinking about it.
No.
And now the time's run out. So
I think he's made the right decision there.
Yeah. Seeing the replay of it now, and as you said, it was pitching, outside leg.
It might have hit in front, but I think he was going to go over as well. So
hit him on the thigh, but he was bending down. Hit him on the pocket, if you like, of his back leg, trying to pull that ball, a short ball from Maxwell. He got away with it, didn't he? Got away with a rank bad delivery. Just a leg by conceded. Ball's a fuller delivery next to Phillips, who whips him through mid-wicket, looking for two here. They two off the over so far. Maxwell bowls again. This one's lifted high out towards deep mid-wicket. This one has got enough for the boundary. It's a huge six from Kane Williamson. Hand came off the bat, but he knew he got all of that. The timing was perfect, and it's gone deep into about row X for the 393rd tournament six.
yeah, I'll tell you what, that was a good shot, wasn't it? Use his feet, as you say. His hand came off the bat, but only really after the shot had been played.
Yeah.
And he'd made really good contact with that. That's a terrific shot.
80 metre six, deposited to deep mid-wicket. Wasn't second tier material, but it was a long way back in the first tier of spectators.
Signs here, New Zealand again, just starting to put the foot down.
Maxwell bowls again. Williamson again goes for the same shot. This one's a flatter shot to the biggest boundary, but it still makes it there by some mid-distance. 99 kilometres an hour delivery from Maxwell went at about 150 kilometres an hour to the boundary for six.
I don't think that went as far as the earlier six, but I think that was a better shot.
Yeah,
because that was he was in complete control of that shot. That was a tremendous shot from Kane Williamson. That's his 50 as well. 51 not out, 32 balls.
Kind of crept up that 50, hasn't it?
And I'll tell you what, that drop catch from Hazelwood.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be talked about for a long time if Kane Williamson accelerates and takes New Zealand to a good score.
Well, if New Zealand win this, then there's material for the Barmy Army going to the Ashes when Hazelwood's bowling, isn't there? Maxwell bowls, full toss, and he's missed it. Williamson, they're going to get a bye anyway. It's gone through the legs of Wade. It beat everything. It beat batsmen, it beat stumps, it beat the keeper. It's gone through as a bye. 96 for 2.
And again, absolutely terrible ball. It ends up being a good one because it surprised everybody, didn't it? Yeah, sometimes it's actually good to be bad.
Yeah, it's good to have no control over your bowling. But this is a big over again for New Zealand. The 11th over was big. The 13th over was big so far. Another cut shot off the last ball is going to race down toward deep point where Stoinis fields. A single off the last, but a huge over there. Was about 15 off it, 97 for 2.
Yeah, and Kane Williamson is looking in more confident mood as this match goes on, isn't he? Playing some very nice shots, a couple of very big sixes in that over from Glenn Maxwell. That second one was a tremendous shot, brings his 50 up, and he's the man now who can continue to play like this. If Glenn Phillips can join the party and join in hitting some boundaries with Jimmy Neesham and the like still to come, New Zealand can use these last 7 overs and really catapult themselves up to something big here. 7 overs, what's that, 42 balls? If you go along at 2 a ball, that's another 84 runs. That takes New Zealand up to 170, 180. That's where they're looking. That's where they're going to try and get to. And they have wickets in hand, still 8 wickets in the dugout.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the big overs that New Zealand have had. And I think they've all been odd overs. They've all been that one end where there's that, well, I think it's the biggest boundary, isn't it? The biggest boundary, but they're actually targeting that big boundary.
That full toss, by the way, that beat everybody, he actually got an edge on that, Kane Williamson.
Did he? All right, so he should have had a run. But he stays on 51. Start of the 14th. Cummins coming in. He had that good first over, bowled the 6th over and went for just 2 runs. This one is full on off stump and it's pushed down the ground by Phillips. and there is no run collected by the sort of mid-off fielder there. I thought he'd had a long off there, to be honest, but he was fielding at mid-off.
Phillips is starting to get into his zone now, in terms of kind of getting into the final 5 with 13.1 overs through this New Zealand innings now. I think he'll kind of play it around until he maybe gets to 15. Obviously, if it's a bad ball, he'll try and put it away, and then use the last 4 and 5 overs to basically just launch an all-out assault.
Cummins in again to Phillips, who gets a slower ball, tries to work it off the square, but can't beat cover, and there is no run. Cummins
has bowled brilliantly so far, hasn't he? You know, just 2 runs from his 1.2 overs, and alongside Zampa for much of Zampa's spell, they have been the bowlers that have exerted the most control. New Zealand have got to try and find a way to just knock Cummins around, even if it's not boundaries. Make sure they score from him.
Williamson's just come and offered Phillips some advice about maybe turning the strike over in this over, because he is going well. Phillips can't get the ball away, but he does cut this next one. A wide, shorter delivery from Cummins down towards point for a single, where Marsh is now operating. The throw bounces just as it reaches Wade, who manages to stop it with his shoulder.
Do you reckon Kane Williamson's advice was score some runs, mate? 2 dot balls, that's not what we need.
Yeah. Just keep it simple.
There's a young girl in the crowd there with almost like Disney eyes. She's huge, big eyes, isn't she?
Bulbous even.
That was very nice young girl. It's quite cute.
Williamson scoring 52% of his runs in that arc between square leg, deep square leg, and deep mid wicket. So
but bulbous wasn't the word I was looking for,
no,
Simon.
Sorry. Boggly. Is Cummins who bowls. This one is played off the back foot, cut through point, down towards deep point, where Marsh again is called into action. Just another single.
Yeah, Williamson looks in complete control now, doesn't he? Knows exactly what he's doing, knows where the gaps are. When it's not there to hit for the boundary, he's finding the ones. When it's there to hit for the boundary, more often than not, he's getting it to the fence or even over the fence in recent overs. So Williamson is dangerous here for Australia. With Phillips and Neesham to bat around him too, then New Zealand can get a big score.
Cummins bowls, batsman gives him a charge, hits Phillips on the back as he tries to pull shot. Williamson has got through for the single, or he's got through for the scrambled leg by. It come off the batsman's back though. So
more of a challenge for Phillips that run, wasn't it? Because he was kind of spinning 360 as Williamson was halfway down, so he had to really run quickly. But, every now and again on these on the TV careers, they show a match almost at random from 10 years ago, don't they?
Tends to be an India win as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, which doesn't make too much sense, does it? I think that. I think you've just summed it up. I think that's why. Yeah. Please, it's 1.4 billion people. Please still watch.
Cummins bowls, slower ball in the air, out towards the deep. He's going to beat the inner ring. Fielder goes back. Maxwell runs around the ball, gets it on his right arm. They're coming back for 2 here, and they're going to make it back for the second. So it's not a hugely profitable over, but that 2 off the last means it's 4 off Cummins' second over. He figures 0 for 6. He's been the pick of Australia's attack so far.
It's 5 if you get the leg by, isn't it? So yeah, it's not disastrous, but it's not exactly what New Zealand want from here. But we've got 6 overs left here, so 10 and over from here takes them to 162. Obviously, even I can do that. They'll want more than that, I think. I think they'll want 170, 180, which is still very much in their compass if they go berserk and a few 6s here and there. Show Bakhtar watching them from the sidelines.
The Rawalpindi Express.
Yeah, the man that resigned live on telly, didn't he? Early on in the coverage, he was on a panel show in Pakistan, and basically the doctor, somebody who was the anchor for this coverage, Shoaib Akhtar was a little bit vociferous in an opinion, which is fine. And he basically told him not to be rude. And Shoaib Akhtar, when they came back from the commercial break, took his microphone off and said, "I think that's me done on here. I've had enough of this," and walked away. He's enjoying the attention though.
Yeah.
He's a typical fast bowler, likes to appear on the big screen. Sean Pollock a little bit more modest, sees himself on the big screen, just takes a slug of water and looks down.
Zampa starting over number 15, ball's full. This one smashed high in the air, down the ground, and 6 runs from Phillips. There's something about this odd number of overs, so it's the odd overs. It's overs number 7, it's overs number 9, over number 11, over number 13, now over number 15, where they're scoring the runs, and it's the even overs where they can't get him away.
So listeners, if you're going to make a cup of tea, make it in the next one.
Yeah.
Join us for the 17th.
But that's first ball. It's a little bit full maybe from Zampa, but he's absolutely targeted that area down the ground.
Like I say, I mean, just in terms of his physique, he's not a tall man, but his chest and his shoulders and his forearms are very strong indeed. And if you add a big bat and some timing to that, then that's only going to go one way, isn't it?
Yeah. Cracking shot from Phillips. He moves to 10. And it looks like they had to just wipe down the ball when it came back from the boundary as well. The umpire got an anti-back wipe out. Just
a
to
spectator threw it back in, I think.
Maybe so. Zampa over the wicket again. Balls to Phillips, who waits again. This one's beaten him. Oh, there's a good shout for a caught behind from Zampa.
I think they're appealing for stumping here. Phillips doesn't look like he's bothered at all, does he? But are they going to go upstairs for the stumping? Finch doesn't look interested.
No, he's turned his back on it. Wade wasn't convincing enough. They were just trying to get the umpire to raise his finger there, and then maybe the New Zealanders would have to use their review. But no, it wasn't forthcoming from umpire Erasmus.
Yeah, certainly Phillips did not look phased at all by that. There's no outside edge there, and it didn't look like his back foot moved.
Zampa in again, balls, and this one's just run into mid-wicket by Phillips, who gets a single, rotates the strike.
I think sometimes a keeper gets excited because he knows it's a good piece of keeping rather than he knows it's out. So I haven't seen the replay from side on, but I think Phillips was okay. So New Zealand, Australia could do with a wicket now because this partnership is starting to look a little bit ominous.
Ultra Edge says there was...
It's bat on pad, isn't it?
Yeah, no edge. It was here. No edge at all.
Bat just clips the pad.
Way, it was about an inch away, wasn't it, as he passed the bat? So Williamson on strike now after Phillips' single. Zampa balls to him. Williamson goes across to the onside with a nice flourishing leg glance for a single.
Yeah, a lot of bottom hand in there as he just tries to steer it into the leg side. 110 for 2 then. 2 balls left of the 15th. And see... 3 players there. Sean Pollock, I think it's Jeanette Britton and Mahala Jayawardene have just been inducted into the ICC Hall of Fame today. All well deserved.
Zampa over the wicket again, balls, and this one's slapped over the top of cover. One bounce into the fence for 4 runs by Glenn Phillips. He moves to 15. New Zealand 114 for 2 now.
Yeah, Phillips could have a real field day here if he doesn't get out. He is capable of hitting boundary after boundary after boundary, and that's what New Zealand obviously want from him. And Aaron Finch and co need to be very mindful here of how they bowl at Glenn Phillips, and they'd love to see the back of him, because if he opens his shoulders, could cause a little bit of destruction over the final 5.
So last ball of this over, last ball of Adam Zampa's 4 overs. He bowls dragged down, and it's just played into the ground there by Phillips, who doesn't call Williamson through for the single. There was never one on, but a good over nonetheless. Double figures again from New Zealand. And at the end of the 13th, no, make that 15th over now. They're 114 for 2.
You're obsessed with odd numbers. You just first odd number that comes into your head, you'll say it. 115 for 2. So got 5 overs left here.
Whenever there's a prime number in the over, they seem to go crazy.
Well, they'll want to try and maximise the even numbers now, I think, because there's more of them left now than the odd ones. But if they can go to a ball now for the final 5, that adds 60 to the score. That'll be 174 for 2. And I think from where they were after the first power play and after 10, New Zealand's be relatively happy with that. If Phillips does really come off and Williamson continues, and then you've got the ability for something like Jimmy Neesham to come out and hit some quick runs, then you never know. It could even be 180 plus if it goes in New Zealand's favour.
They've just got 57 off the last 5. If they get 60 off the next 5, they'll beat 174.
Yeah, I think that's that's probably par from here. Anything less than that, New Zealand will be very disappointed. Anything more than that, New Zealand have a definite shout in this T20 final. It'll be Mitch Stark to bowl the next one. 28 from his first 2. His second over in particular was very expensive, so he'll want to be trying to recoup that a little bit. And Kane Williamson will be wanting to try and launch a bit of an attack at him. 55 off 36. And he's got an outside edge down to third man for 4. So when it's not your day, Mitchell Stark bowls a good ball there, and even those go for 4. Bona fide outside edge, probably caught a second slip in a test match, ends up being 4 runs.
Well, it is definitely Kane Williamson's day, isn't it? That drop catch, what was he on, about 30? Maybe even in the 20s when he was dropped there by Hazelwood at deep square leg.
More like third slip, maybe.
Yeah, he's really made them pay, hasn't he? And everything seems to be going for Kane Williamson at the moment. Thick outside edge, just thick enough to beat the keeper, but not go to third man.
The little flame machines around the boundary edge illuminate and send their fire into the sky, celebrating that boundary.
Cop 26.
As Stark bowls again, and he goes high, and he's gone over the one bounce over third man. I wasn't quite sure where that was going, and Glenn Maxwell's got a wry smile on his face, because at the moment everything is going Kane Williamson's way. That was a false shot. I think he was going over extra cover. It goes over third man. He gets 4 more.
Yeah, can't set a field for that. Just pure intent, swinging the bat. Ball came onto it very quickly.
In fact, he was going leg side, wasn't he?
Spooned up in the air. It's gone, as you say, 180 degrees in the opposite direction to where he was intending it to go, and gets him 4 runs.
You're not going to get one of those flame machines then for your back patio? Keep you warm in the winter months.
My carbon footprint's bad enough.
Yeah. You could light your big cigar off one of those flame machines, couldn't you? As you just sip your whiskey in the back garden. As Stark concedes 8 from his first 2. Danger signs here for Australia. New Zealand are really hauling themselves back in with this assault over the last few overs. 122 for 2. Can still go either way this, because a couple of quick wickets for Australia, and all of a sudden maybe the ceiling on this innings turns into 150 or something.
Yeah.
These two carry on going. You never quite know. It could even be 180, 190.
Well, it could be a century on there for Williams. He's 63 off 38. He's going to face the majority of the strike from here onwards if he stays.
Oh, he's been clipped leg side. And Mitchell Stark's disappearing here. That's gone over mid wicket for 6. Williamson is starting to really motor. His bad shots are going for 4. His good ones are going for 6. And we've had 4, 4, 6 off the first 3 balls of the 16th. And all of a sudden, 128 for 2, starting to look very healthy for the Kiwis.
Well, we are looking at a batsman now who is playing with freedom and form. The ball is coming onto the bat now. It wasn't in the first 10, 12 overs really, or certainly the first 10 overs of this New Zealand innings. They were really struggling to time it. He and Guptill were often looking suspiciously at the pitch, but now he's getting that sort of pace in the pitch that he wants to help him manufacture these shots to all sides of the ground now. It's particularly strong on the leg side though.
He knows there's wickets to come here. Basically, Williams has decided that it's now time to go. 4, 4 and 6, he's suggesting it's working. Stark bowls again, wide, good ball, good recovery from Mitchell Stark as Williamson tried to go a little bit leg side there to open up the offside. And Stark bowls full, just inside the marker, gets a dot ball, rarity for him today. So we see the replays of the 2 false shots that went for 4. Then there's the big 6, flies for 6. That's a terrific shot. Williamson really leading his team by example. High score by a captain in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup final. Williamson is flying at the moment. The run rate above 8. The Stark bowls again. He's gone over extra cover. In fact, he's gone behind point, and that's going to be 4 more. So every ball in this over apart from 1 has gone to the fence. 446.4. This is incredibly dangerous and destructive from Kane Williamson. Aaron Finch looking a little bit glum as he wonders what to do. And Stark is not having a day to remember. He's having a day to remember for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, how do you set a field to him now? He's just, he's been clobbering it through the leg side, but his miss-hit shots are flying to the boundary and the offside as well. I mean, obviously you'd want probably more men on the leg side, but
he's been cobbering it.
He's been doing everything to it.
Keep it Australian, Simon. Keep it Australian. As Stark comes in, bowls again. This time it's just guided down. Oh, he uses guile there. And Stark wanders away, having conceded a 4, down to third man off his final ball as well. None for 50 from 3 for Mitchell Stark. Williamson 77 off 42, 16 overs gone.
22 off that over.
36 for 2. The Australians in the crowd looking a little bit glum. The New Zealanders dancing.
Well,
if you can call that dancing.
You've got to fear for Australia now that the wheels are coming off. Mitchell Stark, their most experienced bowler, has gone for 22, and you just don't know how they can bowl to Williamson in this form. Phillips at the other end has just been watching on, but he is the bigger 6th threat than Williamson at the moment. This New Zealand innings has been paced and judged to absolute perfection. In the early overs I was thinking, well, it's just win toss, win match scenario, isn't it? Guptill and Williamson, they can't trust this pitch, but since over 10 they've finally got their act together, New Zealand, and how are they making Australia punish now?
Yep.
How are they punishing Australia now?
We knew what you meant. We knew what you meant.
Yeah.
136 for 2. 34 runs from the last 12 deliveries. So, I mean, I'm talking to a ball. They're doing better than that. 446.44 off that last over from Mitchell Starc. So, Aaron Finch throws the ball to the reliable today, Pat Cummins, who has been very economical. Can they take him down now, the Kiwis? Phillips is it's going to be a wide. That's outside the mark, and Erasmus stretches his arms out. So this over starts off with a extra. 77 for Williamson, 15 for Phillips, 137 now for 2. That run rate now 8.56. New Zealand looking to put a decent total on the board. As I said at the start of this, that's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah.
As neutrals watching this, we want to see good total and see the Aussies tested. Phillips then, this time, is pulling that one away in front of square. It's a short ball outside the off stump. Maxwell comes in. It's just going with the one. Phillips adds 1 to his score. Goes to 16, 138 for 2. Brings Williamson on to strike. Just 23 short of a World Cup final century. It would begrudge the nicest man in cricket, that. Chris Wokes might do, because he might say he's the nicest man in cricket.
I don't think he would.
It's a battle between those two for that tag. Wokes is watching on. Obviously, England have disappeared. We've seen Pakistan play brilliantly. They've disappeared as well. It's between these two countries now. The Antipodean final, as that's all he tries to overhit that Williamson. It ends up going past Cummins. They're going to pick up a single anyway. And again, that's another advantage. Williamson can't hardly do anything wrong. Completely mistimed that. Still gets a run for it.
Yeah, Cummins was trying to grab across to his right-hand side as he was falling over in his delivery stride. That shot was mistimed, as you say, off the toe end of the bat from Williamson, and it still got through just for a single to rotate the strike.
Better over though so far for Australia.
Well, it's an even over, isn't it? You know, even overs, they don't go for many.
Yeah. Just tune in for those. Just tune in for the odd ones.
Oh no, sorry, no, it is an odd over. Sorry, it is an odd over.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, surely there's 2 sixes to come now then.
Cummins comes in, and Phillips is trying to pull that one away. He kind of took a bit off that, I think, in terms of pace, and Phillips had to wait for it. Sent it down to deep square for a single. So a wide and 3 singles so far. Pat Cummins has been terrific today. 2.3 overs, none for 10, and has been really good. They're showing the drop catch. He just joined in as fairly early on when he was around about 20, I think it was, wasn't it? Williamson hit the ball down to deep fine leg off Mitch Starc, and Hazelwood dropped him, and that kind of set the tone for Stark's day, didn't it? If that had been a wicket, it could have been different for him. Cummins comes in, bowls to Williamson, who tries to flash at that one. It gets a bottom edge. Wade does well to stop it going down to fine leg, but again it's another single. That would have probably been a wide if he'd left that, but I think in the mentality that the New Zealanders are in now, it's all about putting bat to ball, and sometimes you don't quite line them up right and realise it might be a wide. Just the 5 runs off the over so far. Phillips hasn't really, he has once, hasn't he, gone straight down the ground for 6, but apart from that hasn't really opened his shoulders. In comes Cummins to bowl to him again, and this time he's again a short ball. They seem to have identified the short ball at Phillips as being one that he doesn't necessarily play very well. Gets a single down to deep square as Mitch Marsh loses his footing in the surface. They put so much water on these outfields in the UAE. I think it sometimes gets a little bit stodgy in places.
Only 1 run there though. He didn't take on the fielder for the second run when he slipped, and it was probably the right decision because he was able to somehow manage to keep the ball in hand and get a good return throw in there. So
3 overs left after this. We've got, you'd imagine Cummins is going to bowl one of those. Do they go back to Starc, who is notoriously good at the death but hasn't had a good day?
170 still very much on there, isn't it? You know, 175 still possible.
Cummins bowls, and this time it's pulled from outside off through to deep mid wicket. They're going to come back for 2, I think. Yes, they do, as it takes 2 fielders to converge on the ball. And 17 overs gone. It's a rarity. An odd over doesn't get punished with a boundary. But it's still 144 for 2. Got 18 balls left in Dubai in this first innings of this T20 final. Phillips is on 18. Williamson is on 81.
Yeah, Phillips pinched the strike there with that 2. So yeah, okay, I was saying 175. I think they could still get more than that, couldn't they, with these two batting to the end, to the close. Then 185 is actually on, isn't it? Going at 12 and over from here. 12 and over, that's 36 runs off the next 3 overs. Takes them exactly to a 180. Score of 180.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good score. I think that's probably roughly where they were looking. Yep. 170, 180, 190 with a fair wind. And it seems to be panning out that way, and that gives us a very good final, I think. It means that if Australia are going to win it, they're going to have to play well. And that's what you want, isn't it? In a final, you want the team that wins it to play well. So plenty of... well, a shy lady there just buries her head behind a 6 card as Hazelwood bowls and goes to the reverse paddle sweep, slog sweep. Phillipson doesn't make contact. Dot ball from Hazelwood. He's bowled well today as well. 1 for 11 from his 3.1 so far.
Yeah, if he could catch, it'd be a good game for him.
I mean, Hazelwood's been economical. Zamp has been relatively economical. Cummins has been economical. And then the other bowlers have been punished, haven't they? So, I mean, Zamp has been hit for a couple of boundaries in his last over. Hazelwood to come in. This is his 4th and final over of the day. Phillips is swinging that one away, leg side. He's got underneath that. Has he got all of it? He hasn't. It lands in the hands of Glenn Maxwell, who takes a very comfortable catch. And Hazelwood takes his 2nd wicket of the day. Phillips has gone for 18. And New Zealand lose their 3rd wicket, 144 for 3.
Yeah, cramped him for room there, but I think Phillips is 18 off 17 wasn't exactly what it should have been, really. He probably will feel as though he scraped around a little bit for that score. Neesham coming in next, though, could be the real icing on the cake here for New Zealand if he can repeat what he did in the
he'd be the cherry on top of the icing, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely the hundreds and thousands on top of the cherry on top of the icing.
We're now imagining the same cake now, Simon, aren't we? Phillips 18. Yeah, he kind of just threatened to get going, but never really did he? Glenn Phillips. So, and again, that maybe just shows the two-pace nature. Ball maybe not quite coming. I think Australia bowled quite well to him as well. They bowled quite a few slower ball, short balls at him, where he had to wait, and he wasn't really coming onto the bat for Glenn Phillips today. But as you say, Neesham's had a very good World Cup, coming in the death overs to really catapult his team up to a good score. And obviously Kane Williamson at the other end is going along rather nicely. So New Zealand will still be fancying their chances of 180 or somewhere in that region in terms of their final total. Who would you back if they finished with 180? Who would you back from there? Would you still go with the team batting 2nd?
I don't know. It would be a really close call. I would probably go New Zealand. They've got to get to 180 yet, but with this man who's just walked out to join Williamson in the middle, they've got every chance. He only needs to face a couple he can go right from ball number 1, which is a true quality to have.
Hazelwood bowls, and that's a really impish little shot from Kane Williamson. Dances across to his right hand side, flicks it over short fine leg, gets another boundary. 85 for him now, 148 for 3. They need more of that.
Well, he is going to get a century. I think it's pretty clear that the script has been written for Williamson today. He's playing some very nice shots now. His shots earlier, some of the lucky ones were going for boundaries when they wouldn't have done for another player, but now everything is just off the middle of the bat, isn't it, from Williamson? That was a very good shot.
I saw a bookie earlier on today offering enhanced prices on Williamson being the top scorer, and I didn't take it. Wish I had now. It's next ball. He beats him outside of the off stumpers. Took the pace off that, I think, there, Hazelwood.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to bowl, isn't it? Australia are showing New Zealand how to bowl now. They found it a little bit too late. It's going to the slower balls and the slow bouncers and things like that. But this is definitely the way New Zealand, Southey, Bolt, Milne are going to be looking at this and going, right, this is how we need to bowl. Yeah,
that weak ball that got Phillips, it was a knuckle ball, just took pace off that as well. So Phillips got underneath that after having to wait for it. And, played the price as Hazelwood this time hits over the top. Has that got the distance? It hasn't. Oh, you did for him there, Simon Barlow. You said, oh, he's going to get a century. He doesn't. Steve Smith takes the catch at long off. Williamson goes for 85 off 48. New Zealand 148 for 4.
Yeah, and it's just starting to unravel a little bit for New Zealand. I mean, you got to take your chances, and on that occasion he's just not quite got to the pitch of the ball. It was held back a little bit in terms of the length, not in terms of the speed that he bowled out there, and Williamson couldn't quite get full, out of the full screws, and it was an easy catch in the end, chest high from Smith, walking in from the long off position.
One of my friends is there today. just been sent a picture from the mid-wicket boundary. Watching in Dubai today is Rob, so hopefully he enjoys his day. And actually, to be fair, it looks like a good final is being set up here. They now need Neesham and Seifert to go, don't they? They need this last 13 balls of this innings to be really punishing, get themselves up to kind of mid 170s, 180 if they really get cracking. Seifert's fairly explosive on his day. We've seen Neesham be very destructive as well, and now they need some boundaries, New Zealand, to put a finish on a high. You often see at the last couple of overs makes a big difference to how the first few overs of the next innings start. If you hit a few runs, you come out and maybe take a few wickets. If you get just kind of hold back, then it adds confidence to the batting side, team batting second. 48 for 4, 17.5 overs gone. 2 new batsmen at the crease. Hazelwood bowls, nudged into the leg side by Jimmy Neesham. He takes a single. He'll be on strike at the start of the 19th, and it's going to be 49 for 4.
Yeah, he's done the right thing there, Neesham. Just take the single off the last ball, get himself set for now 2 overs of massive hitting.
Only faced 1 ball between, so that's advantage Australia from that perspective.
He stands so still, doesn't he, Neesham, which for me is a sign of a batsman in supreme form.
Cummins to bowl, he's had a good day as well. Neesham cuts that one away through the point region. There's a fielder that runs around to his right. Do they come back for 2? They don't. So just the single off the first ball. 11 balls left. A run a ball from here, 161. 2 a ball from here, 172. You can do the rest of the maths. And chance for New Zealand to almost finish on anything. Steve Smith almost found a way to drop that ball, didn't he? We see the replay there. He ended up clutching it to his chest. Extreme, isn't it, in the crowd? Lose the sign on it as Williamson gets out for 85. I wouldn't mind being that much of a loser. Get 85 in a World Cup final. Be deemed a loser. As Seifert is on strike. First ball that he faces today. He cuts that one away through the cover region. Fielder is going to be out there, so it's just going to be 1 more.
I think he'd had a big bet on Williamson not to make a century.
Well, I think there's a few Pakistan fans that are not happy with it. These two sides are participating today. I think Pakistan, I mean, that was the only match they lost, wasn't it, the semi-final?
Oh, sorry, if you're a Pakistan fan and you'd already bought tickets to the final, then yeah, you're
yeah,
a little bit
grumpy.
Yeah.
I saw a few kids getting interviewed after Pakistan's defeat and crying and stuff. It means a lot.
Whoa.
Oh, that's the shot that he was looking for. That was in the slot, and I tell you what, that was a hit as hard as anything we've seen today. As you say, standing very still, very straight, very high. Back comes down, wallop, straight 6, and that is superb.
He just looks so calm, doesn't he? Looks so composed, Jimmy Neesham. It looks like his heartbeat probably hasn't got over 60 since he came to the middle.
Look
and yet
at
he's
that.
batting in a World Cup final for his country, trying to set a target that he'll obviously be trying to bowl to defend later on. But it was absolutely just pure flowing shot, that, wasn't it?
Neesham this time, he's going to go. Well, it's a good response from Cummins. Took the pace off a shorter ball. Doesn't get the full bat on that, and it goes out into the leg side. It's just going to be the 1. So good response from Pat Cummins. Saw a few pictures of Jimmy Neesham after the semi-final. All the other New Zealanders were up celebrating, hugging each other. Neesham was just sat there staring.
Zen.
And he basically retweeted that picture after the event and said, "Job's not done yet." And what he means is he wants his hands on a trophy. And today's the day. And well, shots like that are going to certainly contribute to a good day for New Zealand. In comes Cummins again, bowls, and this time it's short outside the off stump. Seifert doesn't quite get bat on ball there. trickles to the fielder at extra cover. It's just going to be one more. Seifert goes to 2 off 2. Neesham's 9 off 4. Got 7 balls left of this first innings of the T20 World Cup final. 159 for 4 is the score on the board. So 2 a ball from here. Takes them up to 173.
82m6 there, the big shot from Neesham in this over.
They'll be wanting sort of 3 boundaries off the last 7. And that takes them up to the 170 mark, or 170, mid 170s. Cummins bowls again. This time Neesham lets that one go outside of the off stump. Is that signalled as a wide? It is. So good. I mean, that shows where he is as well in terms of the way his mind's functioning. He's not just flailing at everything. He saw the line of that and just left it. Thought, yeah, I'll see another one. Thank you very much. We'll have 1 for that.
Well, you sometimes see batsmen coming in at this stage and they're trying to put the bowlers off by moving around before the ball's bowled. They're sort of backing away, or they're moving across the stumps to get a different angle and trying to open up one side. He just stands stock still and says, wherever you bowl it, I'm going to reach it.
Yeah, the body language is really good from Neesham, isn't it? As the next one is swung down to long off. Sorry, long on. And they'll probably just settle for the 1 here.
Going back.
Oh, they have. They come back for the second.
It's
close. That's close. That is close. They're going to go upstairs. Now I can see why they wanted to. They want to maximise everything they've got. I'm not sure on that.
I think he's just home.
I'm not sure. We'll find out. I mean, the Australians are congratulating each other as if they've taken the wicket there. It'll be Neesham that goes if there is the wicket falling, because it was the wicket keeper's end. We need to see the replay.
Is it a direct hit, or has the keeper...
He's running the bat in, and he's home. Just, I'll tell you what.
Direct hit would have been out.
That's about as close as you can be to getting out without being out on a run out. Good work from Matthew Wade, but it's going to be not out on the big screen. So 2 runs off the final ball of the 19th. Neesham's on 11, Seifert's on 2. We've got 6 balls left. 162 for 4. I think we've pretty much called this as being like mid 170s, maybe with a big over, maybe even 180s.
Can't rule out 180. Can't rule out, but that I think is the extreme end of where this innings is going to go. 180. Australia would need 9 and over.
Well, it's a chance for Stark to redeem himself a bit here. He's going to bowl the 20th. He's had a terrible day so far with the ball. Can he close it out? The 1 over behind. Not that that means anything at all, because there's no punishment for it. So it's just a guide, I guess, to where they should be. But Mitch Stark's a bit of pressure on his shoulders here. None for 50 from his 3 overs previously. So he's bowled 18 balls that have disappeared for 50 runs so far. Can he bowl a good final? I mean, he's made a trade out of bowling Yorkers at the death and been really hard to get away. Can he do this for Aaron Finch and the Aussies now? 8.53 is the current run rate. The bails are going to be changed.
Yeah. Sometimes when the bails have been broken like that, they don't stop flashing, do they? So that might have been an issue.
Which would be quite off-putting as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Wade did pretty much destroy those stumps in his effort to take the bails off, didn't he? As Jimmy Neesham just runs his bat in. I mean, that's the lesson for any school kid on how to complete a run. Run your bat in. Start bowls. Down the leg side. Flicked away to deep square. And there's nobody there. 4 runs off the first ball of the final over. Stark's day gets worse and worse and worse. 166 for 4. It was a gift, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of the 3 boundaries they'll need in this over to get near to 180. And it was a leg stump, full ball, which just was like a half volley, wasn't it? The batsman's just got something on it and helped it into that.
That's all he needed to do, wasn't it? Get bat on ball, and there's 4 runs there. And that gives Seifert a little bit of a boost at the start of this 20th over. Brings him into this game. Stark can't do right for doing wrong today, can he? As he comes in again, bowls, and this time it's outside the off stump. Better from Mitchell Stark. Oh, they could probably have gone through for a single there, because Wade didn't take it cleanly. But they opted to settle for the dot ball. Good response from the left armour. Going to see on our screen Hazelwood's wickets today. A little outside edge. And then he had a catch in the deep at Cow Corner. And then he got Kane Williamson caught at long off. 18 dot balls in his 24 balls bowled today. 3 wickets. Great performance from him. This is currently, well, it's always going to be the highest team total in a men's T20 World Cup final. That's full toss, outside off. It's scythed down to wide third man. Just the single does bring Jimmy Neesham on to strike there for the final 3 balls of this Kiwi innings.
Two boundaries would be a very good return from here. From
I think that's what he's going to be looking at here, isn't it? He wants to hit 2 boundaries from the final 3 balls. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't even turn down a single here to give him the opportunity of doing that. I think Neesham's the one that can be a little bit more. There's a higher probability of Neesham clearing the ropes than Seifert.
I'd say so.
So 167 for 4. Got 3 balls left of this first innings in Dubai. And this is the highest ever score in a T20 World Cup final. And we're still sort of talking about the chasing sides being in the advantage. The start bowls, and that's he went for the big swing there, Jimmy Neesham, and he misses it. His eyes are looking at where that ball was going to land, but the ball was behind him in Matthew Wade's grubby little mitt stop ball.
Yeah, fine margins, isn't it? And he got the ball he wanted as well. That was in the slot from Stark. You know, that was not probably the way. Telling Mitchell Stark to bowl a delivery to Jimmy, he's actually probably just held it back enough, just enough for it not to be in the slot. I thought it was when I first saw it, but it was just a little bit wider, a little bit shorter than I thought originally. And so when Neesham went through the shot, he was swishing at fresh air. Now, it seems like there's a problem with Stark's foot here, which is a shame, because we're going to see another delay here to proceedings.
Well, he's had a few injury problems in his career, but I think this is just footwear than ankle or foot. So
it's the instep, or it's the insert into his right bowling boot.
Just shows you how much. I mean, no wonder when you see them go through airports, they've got about 5 bags on their trolleys, because the 12th man there has just brought out 3 potential changes of footwear for Mitchell Stark. He's got
sandals, Crocs,
and, yeah, stilettos. They might sink into the outfield in Dubai, I think. Yeah, better to stay with the flat feet. So Kane Williamson, best scores in his T20 international career is 85 today. He's second best. Never got a T20 international 100 today. Would have been a good day to do it, wouldn't it? If he could have got past 3 figures. But you scuppered him with your comments on. Yeah, commentator's curse. You did for Kane Williamson today. But he's got 5 scores above 70, 85 against Australia today, only behind his 90 odd against India. Neesham's on 11 though. 2 balls left. I think they might turn down a run if he doesn't hit the next one to the fence. I think he's going to think, I want to hit one of these last 2 out of Dubai. Stark bowls down the leg side. That'll be a wide. They're going to go through. They go through for a single. That surprises me. It's signalled a wide. So 2 balls left. Seifert on strike.
Yeah, obviously full trust there. You know, Neesham saying to his partner, look, you know, happy to let you have a go if I couldn't hit that delivery for the boundary. So there's still 2 left to come though, so Neesham might still get one last crack at Mitchell Stark.
I mean, it surprises me though. I think they would have been better off keeping Neesham on strike, but the Seifert's obviously more than talented himself. And Stark comes in. 2 balls left. And Seifert this time is clipping that one away into the mid-wicket region. Just going to be the one, I think. Yeah, and they turn it down. So Neesham will be on strike for the final ball. They haven't made the 180 that we were thinking was definitely on the cards at one stage. A 6 here, though, would see New Zealand up to 176. Can Neesham just put a rather glamorous full stop to this New Zealand 20 overs? Neesham's on 11, Seifert's on 8. Kane Williamson looking on from the dugout, takes a big slug of kind of very uglily blue coloured liquid. Stark to bowl the final ball. 174, where's it going to go to? It hits hard down the ground. It's going to go to the fielder though. They're going to come back for 2. Seifert turns and gets back for the second. And New Zealand finish on 172 for 4 to win the T20 World Cup. Australia will need 173.
Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in, couldn't quite propel the score up to the 180 that it was looking like was possible for the Black Caps, but still it's a massive improvement from where they were at the halfway mark. 57 for 1 after 10 overs. They made 172 for 4 after 20. So Australia require 173 runs for victory when we come back to bring you off-tube, studio-based, ball-by-ball commentary on the Men's T20 World Cup final. Australia need 173 to win the Men's T20 World Cup in Dubai. After winning the toss and electing to field first, New Zealand have made 172 for 3 in their 20 overs. Top scorer Kane Williamson out for 85 with a couple of overs to go. Jimmy Neesham came in. Very warm welcome back. Players back out there in Dubai for the Australian run chase. Need 173 to win their first ever men's international T20 title. Umpire Erasmus calls play again. We're going to see Trent Boult, left arm over the wicket to the left-handed Warner. First delivery short of a length and cut, but mistimed into the ground and stopped at point by Daryl Mitchell. We're going to have to field very well, New Zealand. They've put a score on the board. They've put a workable total on the board. They're going to have to bowl well, but they have to field really well here to prevent Australia from making this another sort of cakewalk for a team. Not cakewalk, but another chase that's looking very doable.
Yeah, I mean, it should be Australia's to win. We've been seeing them chase the next ball's just off the inside edge and scuffed into the leg side. There's no run. All this talk about it being the Toss World Cup and the chasing teams win. Well, New Zealand need to go past that, don't they? Need to get themselves past that mentally. They've got the bowlers to do it. They've got some tremendous bowlers, and Trent Boult's one of the best in the world at bowling the new ball with the white ball. So I think New Zealand need to look at these first 6 over power play, and they need to take at least 3 wickets, put pressure on the Aussies.
Boult in again. Boult, this one's edged. It's gone through second, third slip region down towards third man. Ish Sodhi fields, and there's a run finally for David Warner off the bat. First runs for Australia there. Off the third delivery, it was carved away. Big, thick outside edge. In fact, an open face shot actually. Looking at it again, gone through third slip region. But of course, you don't set a field for that in a T20.
Just a little bit of movement for Trent Boult in this opening over. We didn't see too much from Mitchell Starc, his fellow left-hander on the other, left armer on the other side. So that'll just interest him a little bit, especially against Aaron Finch, who early on in his innings, to left armers that just get it to come back in a little bit, is an LBW candidate.
Trent Boult in again. Boult's across the right-hander Finch, who goes with a flashing drive, which he mistimes and it just dribbles out towards mid-off, no run.
You look at Australia's batting lineup, though; they have some real, power. They have Warner and Finch at the top of the order. You've got Smith, who tends to be the glue in this kind of format and tries to run a ball and keep it steady. But then you've got the likes of Maxwell to come. There's plenty. Stoinis, Matthew Wade, who we saw the other day. They've got tricks up their sleeve all the way down their order. So New Zealand are going to have to work very hard.
Next delivery, swing and a miss from Finch, trying to pull a shorter ball from Boult out towards mid-wicket, but he completely missed it underneath the delivery at 87 miles an hour and through to the keeper.
We were just talking in the office as I was nicking a chocolate hobnob off somebody, that the pressure is a little bit different today, isn't it? Because obviously in previous matches, chasing, etc., it's for points, it's for kind of jockeying for position in the group. This is for the trophy.
Balls again. This one's hit the pad. There's a shout for LBW. Is it swinging too much there? It was a good shout, I think. It's come off the pad and gone out towards cover. Williamson's interested. He's stalking in, looking very purposeful, and he might be worth a risk, this. It might be worth the signal. No, Williamson looks as though he's not going to bother with the review. Doing too much, possibly pitching outside leg from Boult.
Yeah, there's probably a few too many ifs in that to be really confident. But forget that. I mean, let's see the replay here. I mean, he dances down a little bit as well. Maybe just missing leg. It was kind of just curving away from leg stump a little bit. Trent Boult gives it the full.
You know what?
Elvis Presley on his knee.
I think it's worth a review that. 2 things that could have gone against him. One is pitching in line, which I think it was probably just umpire's call. The other one was how far down the wicket he got.
Yeah.
Been more than 3 metres, which would again. But they wouldn't have lost the review there if they'd gone with that, and that had been the reason why it wasn't given. They would have retained the review.
Yeah, I mean, it's possibly worth a go, wasn't it? Possibly worth a go. But I mean, take that out of the equation. That's a great first over from New Zealand.
Yeah.
They might not have taken a wicket, but to only concede the 1 run, Tim Southee now into the attack.
Yeah, right arm angle now to the left-handed Warner, and he pulls away as Southee's about to deliver that one. Some movement behind, and Southee turns around, sees the man sees the person who's causing the disturbance, and nods in Warner's direction and said, "Yeah, fair enough." No arguments from Tim Southee about that.
That's one way of getting warmed up as a bowler, isn't it? Go through the whole of your into the delivery stride off your full run, and then get balked at the last minute. But so Tim Southee's back to his mark to start again. This match, I think that score of 173, the target of 173, puts this match right on the knife edge.
Southey bowls. This one swatted into the air, but falls short of the mid-on fielder, which is Milne, and there is no run. He mistimed that completely, David Warner.
Yeah, it was all at sea there. I don't know if he changed his pace just to fox him. He didn't seem to. I mean, having said that, change of pace, it's his first ball, so what you're changing it from. But these kind of little graphics all the way through this tournament have amused me.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a little 3-point bio of how a batsman plays. Some of them are a little bit silly.
Southey bowls again. This one's wide of the off stump and lifted high. Played really well. Stroked through the offside, through cover for a boundary. Australia up and running now, 5 without loss.
Yeah, and that was all about the width that Southey gave David Warner there. It gave him the chance to kind of have a proper swing outside of the off stump, and he knows inside this power play with the field in, as long as he gets enough on that, that's going to race away. The outfields during this tournament have been pretty quick. If you beat the infield, they tend to go to the boundary anyway. You can kind of half hit a shot and it'll go away for 4. It was the width there that was the undoing of Tim Southey.
One slip still in place for Southey, who bowls to Warner. This one's cut in the air over the top of backward point. 4 more for the Australian left-hander.
Again, it's just too wide, isn't it? He's trying to bowl in that channel outside of the off stump, but it's giving David Warner the chance to free his hands and get back through ball. Now Tim Southey, I think, asking Kane Williamson for a little bit more protection, maybe at a deep point or something like that, to give himself a little bit of a chance to make that mistake and get away with it. But David Warner's been in good form in this tournament. He's starting to look like the David Warner of old.
Yeah, he's had more than a nibble at that one, hasn't he? That was a big chomp from David Warner through the point region. And like you say, I mean, whatever the 3-point bio would be to stop David Warner, one of them would be don't let him free his hands. And he did just that with that wide delivery. He's a bit fed up with the game. Balls down the leg side. This one's pushed, shovelled really into the onside by Warner for a single to the leg side sweeper.
But when he's on song, that 3-point bio just means one of the very best in the world, because in white ball form, when he's at his pomp, he's destructive. He can basically destroy an attack. So the Australian dugout there, watching from the sidelines after 11 balls of this innings, will just be hoping it's David Warner's day, because he could take him a long way towards this trophy.
We've just seen a Hawkeye or a DRS review replay. It wasn't a review, it was a replay of the Trent Bolt appeal. This next delivery from Southey's played under edge down to short third man where Sodi's feeling. So just a single there off the last ball, but an undercut that went closer to the stumps than he would have hoped for there by Finch. He moves to 1, so he finally gets off the mark there with that final delivery of the over, and will keep the strike for the start of the third. It's 11 without loss. Yeah,
and those 2 boundaries just giving Australia a little bit of impetus and belief in this reply. I think Ish Sodhi and Mitchell Santner in the New Zealand team could have a big bearing on this final today. If they bowl well, the 2 spinners, that could have a big bearing in how Australia play them too, and their kind of tactics against the spin could be quite key in the way this final goes.
Yeah, just go back to Bolt's appeal. It was not out, and it wouldn't have overturned anything on review. It was pitching in line, it was hitting as well, but it was more than 3 metres down when it's the point of impact there. Next delivery from Bolt, and his start of his second over is wide and cut away by Finch, but only as far as the man saving 1 in the cover region, which is Phillips.
And Finch as well, I mean, he's incredibly destructive. He's had relatively consistent T20 World Cup without being, winning a match on his own. He'd be quite happy as the Aussie captain to do that today.
Bolton again, balls, Finch drives high out towards the long off boundary, and 1 bounce 4.
Yeah,
crunched.
This is what Aaron Finch can do. If it's his day, then there's no bowling at him. You basically put it anywhere and he can hit it to the fence. And again, using his feet there, coming down, being proactive. He's been caught in the crease a few times in this World Cup LBW against the likes of Trent Boult. He's trying to swing it back into his pads. He's trying to dance down and make it hard for Trent Boult, trying to disrupt his rhythm.
Trent Boult bounces in again over the wicket. Bowles, bouncer in the air. He's got a big underneath this one as a fielder won't be able to catch. Oh, he does. Mitchell comes in and takes the catch all the way in from square leg to mid wicket to remove the Australian skipper, who's gone for 5. He got underneath a bouncer, ballooned up in the air, and great work from Mitchell has turned it into a catch.
Yeah, he did well there, didn't he? Running around to his left. It was in the air for quite some time, so he had a chance to make ground. But he got both big hands on it and took the catch very nicely, and ended up like sitting like a kid in a sandpit or something, just tossing the ball up, and with a big smile on his face. He knows that was a good catch, and that's potentially a very big wicket, because Aaron Finch is the kind of player that when it's his day, he could win this final on his own. So big scalp to take the wicket of the Aussie captain.
Yeah, he's a safe pair of hands, isn't he, Mitchell? We saw a fantastic piece of fielding from him in the win over Afghanistan in the group stages, where there was a ball over his head going over the boundary. He took the catch and then realised that he was going over the boundary with it and threw it back in to prevent 6 runs. And what was a very easy win for New Zealand in the end, but it was a spectacular bit of out cricket from Mitchell. And he's produced another one there by running fully 25, maybe 30 metres when the ball was in the air. It was in the air for, what, 3-4 seconds? So he's covered a lot of ground to take that catch, Mitchell, and a very safe pair of hands to be underneath it as well for New Zealand. So that is the first breakthrough. Australia 15 for 1 midway through the third. Here comes Mitchell Marsh.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious what Australia need to do. They need to get enough runs to win this, but the way New Zealand win this is by taking regular wickets. If you can take regular wickets, peg the Aussies back, put that element of doubt in their mind. You know, have we lost too many? Are we falling too far behind? That's how New Zealand win this T20 World Cup.
Trent Boult comes in again and bowls to the right-handed Marsh, who defends the... No, it's not Marsh, sorry, that's Warner, isn't it? The left-handed Warner, who defends the first ball back to the bowler.
Marsh has decided to turn himself around to make a game of it.
It was inside-out Marsh. But yeah, of course, the batsman crossed when the ball was in the air from the Finch miss-hit.
T20 World Cup's riding on this match, Simon. There's pressure. Moments like that catch,
oh yeah,
things like that make a big difference. We saw Hazelwood drop in Williamson earlier. You know, catches win matches. Fielding is a massive part of T20.
Oh, it really is. Here's Boult again, who bowls. This one's a slower ball, played into the ground rather uncertainly there by Warner, and there is no run. He just swatted at it, really. Cross bat swat into the deck, and it's fielded at mid-on. So Mitch Marsh, 30 years of age, 26 ranked in the ICC T20 international order. Averages 36, which is not bad, and a strike rate of 142, respectable as well.
That's very good, isn't it?
Boult bowls. This is a slower ball, which is just run down towards point where Mitchell is on patrol, and there is no run. What an over for New Zealand after Australia had that big second over. New Zealand have had a big third over, just 4 runs from it and the wicket. 15 for 1.
Yeah, Trent Boult. Yeah, a couple of the New Zealanders in the bowling attack need to do a Hazelwood or a Cummings, don't they? Trent Boult's first couple of overs have certainly kept New Zealand in this match. Australia haven't got off to a flyer. You know, it's not raining sixes, and they're not charging through the power play and get themselves well ahead of the required rate. We see England's tactics, don't we, sometimes when they're chasing in a T20. They just come out, bang, 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 and all of a sudden they're so far ahead of the run rate, even if they lose 2 wickets. They can afford to lose 2 wickets and still be ahead of the game. Yep. Australia haven't got off to an absolute flyer. We've seen a few very flat-footed shots from David Warner so far. It's very much hand and eye coordination rather than foot movement. But Adam Milne coming in to bowl his first over now. Yeah,
right arm quick bowler, probably the quickest that New Zealand have got. Milne bowls. This one's whipped off middle stump and out towards square leg for 6 huge runs from Marsh. What about that? A welcome to the world final for Marsh. 6 off his first delivery.
That's a terrific pickup, isn't it? I mean, it was there. The shot was there to play, but you need to execute it. And he's timed that absolutely magnificently over deep square. He's just picked that up, helped it on its way, used the pace of the ball, and that's gone a long way back in the crowd. Terrific shot.
Yeah, 86 metre 6 with the first ball he's faced there, Mitch Marsh. What a start for him.
That's going to kind of build your confidence a bit, isn't it?
21 for 1. target 173. Milne bustling in again past umpire Kettleborough and bowling a bouncer which has been nudged very fine. That's going to go for 4 runs as well. Nothing that nothing that third man could do to cut that one off. He was too far round, and so Marsh already up with Warner at 10 runs apiece from just 2 balls faced.
Yeah, and it's just using the pace of the ball again, isn't it? Just glancing it through where the slips would be. There aren't any there, and that runs away to a very fine third man. And at the moment, it looks like Adam Milne is going to play the Mitchell Stark kind of role in the bowling lineup. He's been the one that's gone for some boundaries early on, none for 10 from just 2 balls.
Comes in again here, Milne, and bowls. This one is pulled through mid-wicket, 4 more. It's an absolute destruction here of Adam Milne from Mitch Marsh. 6-4-4, first 3 balls of the over. What does he do next?
Bowls one that goes for a dot, I think, is what he's hoping. But 29 for 1. Yeah, this is what we said in the first innings. Yeah, 1 over in this format can just suddenly change the complete complexion of the match. And Marsh has come out. He's decided, right, I'm not going to die wondering. I'm going to have a go here. And at the moment it's coming off. 3 balls, 3 boundaries, 2 fours and a 6. He's flying.
Here he comes again. Milne bowls. This one's full outside the off stump, driven but stopped, just half stopped really in the covers by Santner. So they take a single anyway, but at least it stops the run of boundaries from Mitch Marsh, who's gone race to 15 off 4 balls, 2 fours and a 6, and that's single now.
He's a big lad, Mitch Marsh, as well, isn't he? Yeah, he's a tall fella. A big chest, and he's able to hit the ball very nicely, but he can play both ways. He can stroke the ball as well as muscle it. And Adam Milne, welcome to the T20 World Cup final. 6-4-4-1, yet to get a dot ball under his belt.
Here is Milne again, who bowls, and this one is a slower ball which has been crunched into cover where it's stopped by Guptill. So another attacking shot, but this time New Zealand's defence is up to it, and they have a dot ball.
After the first 3 balls of this over, Milne will be quite happy that it's gone 1 and dot. If he could finish off with a dot ball, it's kind of like he's hauled the over back a little bit, isn't it? After being utter carnage for the first 3, he could just rescue this over if he bowls a good ball here.
Here is Milne again, who bowls, and this one has played off the stumps out towards cover, and it's stopped again by New Zealand. Phillips this time, who moves from point to fill that gap, and so a good finish to the over. There were 14 runs off the first 3 balls. There were 1 off the last 3 balls of that Adam Milne over, and so 15 off the over. Yeah,
I mean, it went for 15, but he'll be quite pleased that he came out of that without serious damage. I mean, 15 is not great, but you know, if somebody else had hit a 6 or a 4 off the final 2 balls, then all of a sudden that's a 25 run over, and you kind of you've given Australia such a big fillip in terms of their run rate. You've got Glenn Maxwell to come, Steve Smith to come, Marcus Stoinis to come, Matthew Wade, the semi-final hero as well. So plenty of batting left for Australia. 143 runs required, 96 balls, and we'll know who lifts the trophy.
I'd say Australia probably just about favourites now. It was pretty much 50-50 at the halfway mark. Southey bowls the start of the 5th over. This one's on the pads and worked across with a bit of bat and a bit of pad, I think, out to square leg. It's come off the bat. Marsh moves to 16.
We saw in the New Zealand innings the benefit of not losing too many wickets early on, didn't we? They only lost 1 in the power play. They'd only lost, I think, 2 by halfway. And they had wickets left in the dugout and were able to then open their shoulders to try and get up to a decent score. So far, Australia are only losing the 1 wicket. They're going down that same route.
Southey comes in again, bowls to Warner, who tries to fight him off onto the leg side. Mistimed shot for a single to square leg, fielded by Williamson, and a strong throw into the keeper, but no overthrows possible. Overthrows would be a real sickener in this game, wouldn't they, after what happened to New Zealand in the men's 50 over World Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, New Zealand just need to be absolutely bang on. You know, this is a T20 World Cup final. To win that trophy, you've got to play well, and you can back your bowlers up so well, can't you? You know, a good shot gets dived upon, save it going for 4, take all of your catches, you know, hit direct hits at run-outs.
Here's Southey in again, lovely line and length on off stump, just back of a length, and nothing that Marsh could do with that other than bat it back to him.
South is vastly experienced. He's
Good slow ball as well.
yeah, he's a very good bowler. He's somebody that Kane Williamson can throw the ball to. You know exactly what you're going to get with Tim Southey. Of course, T20, you're going to go for a few now and again, but you know, very capable pair of hands. Which Santner just showing signs of warming up as well.
Yeah.
Getting towards the end of the power play. Will he bowl the 6th though, or will they keep him for the 7th?
Here is Southey again, who bowls. This one's on the stumps, and it's just glanced into mid-on for a single where Bolt fields. So another one to the total, 33 for 1.
Maybe with Adam Milne going for a few in his previous over, that you know, Williamson might just be flexible, bring Santner on to bowl the final over of the power play, see if there is any turn out there. Didn't see a huge amount from Zampa, but he bowled a very consistent line, didn't he? And it made it very hard for the batsman to get him away.
Here is Southey again then, into Warner, who gets a slow ball, and he's waited for this one, and he's crunched it over the top of mid-wicket for a gigantic 6. It's juggled in the crowd, eventually taken. Nothing that New Zealand could do to stop that once it left the bat of David Warner.
Yeah, that was a very, very strong shot, wasn't it? He's not the tallest man in the world. It doesn't have to be that short to get to waist high. And he got underneath that and just lifted it over deep mid-wicket.
Picked the slow ball, didn't he?
Right at the middle of the bat, wasn't it? Yeah, as you say, slower ball, just waited for it. And that was crunched. 77 metres. Catching the crowd, I think it was dropped about twice and then landed in row 3, didn't it, after about 2 unsuccessful attempts. But they got there in the end.
Last ball of the over, Southey again. This is legit. This is a length ball on off stump, which has been just cut away out towards Mitchell on the boundary. Just be a single, but a very good over from Australia's point of view. They take 9 from it and move to 40 for 1 after 5.
I mean, with New Zealand, from memory, were about 30-32 after their 6 overs. They had a good start and then they failed to capitalise on it in the power play. Whereas Australia at the moment had a slower start in the first 3, but have gradually gained momentum as they've gone through towards the 6th. I mean, the 6th over that was bowled by Pat Cummins in the New Zealand innings only went for 2 off the final ball. It was nearly a maiden, so New Zealand kind of limped towards the end of their power play. Despite not losing too many wickets, they didn't get too many runs on the board, so Australia will be very happy with this start. They've only lost 1 wicket, they've got more runs at the same time. They know exactly what they need to do. I don't think the pitch has got too many demons in it at the moment. Australia have got their noses ahead. New Zealand desperately need wickets to just hold them back in again.
Warner 18, Marsh 17, Australia 40 for 1, as you say. The crowd are enjoying spotting themselves on the big screen inside the stadium as Milne continues. Over to you, James.
It turned into the leg side by Warner, maybe off his pad rather than bat. We'll see what the umpire gives there. And Warner's cross with himself that he didn't get any bat on that, or more bat on that. Let's see if it was a leg by or not. Yeah, it was 1 leg by. He came off his pad, and I think he felt he could have just put that one through towards deep square and maybe got at least 2 or even 4. So it wasn't the best ball from Milne, and I think Warner also disappointed that he's not able to keep the pressure on Milne after that first over. Would be quite nice from Australia's point of view to get a boundary early on in his second over.
Still, it's a brave shout, it's a brave tactic here, isn't it, to continue with Milne?
Bowls again. This is shorter and it hits the hip of Mitchell Marsh. I think that's going to be a leg by as well. So Milne yet to concede a run off the bat in his second over, which is, you know, after the first 3 balls went for 14, he's bowled 3 decent deliveries in the end of his first over and only gone for 2 leg byes off his first 2 balls of his second over. So he's got himself back into this match, hasn't he?
Clearly, Williamson thinks that Milne can be quite a good match-up to these 2 batsmen, left and right-hander. He's not overly concerned with that first over, and he's trusting him to do his job again. It's
Warner on strike, and Warner waits for that one, just guides it into the offside, straight to the fielder.
And like another pace-off delivery that from Milne.
Yeah, he's just responding nicely here. I mean, Milne's a regular feature in T20 franchise cricket around the world. He gets good stats behind him. He's a good bowler, and obviously that.
Also, you've seen him playing very well in the 100 as well.
That's not recognised by me.
It's not Butler affiliated.
But yeah, we'll skirt past that. I don't want to swear on the air, as David Warner is short and he lets that one go. Did that just go above head high or not? The umpire says not. So it's just the one for the over in terms of it being a short delivery, and just mixing it up quite nicely here. Adam Mills needs some slower balls. He's just varying his length. That surprised David Warner, and just goes past his shoulder.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just don't ball two balls exactly the same. That seems to be the mantra for all bowlers.
Like we said in the first inning, sometimes your bad ball's the best ball because the batsman's just not set for it. He's not expecting it, and not got a great record against David Warner. He's only bowled 3 times at him, 30 runs. It's a small sample size, but Warner's not got out to Milne yet, as that one's taken off his stumps through points by David Warner. Fielder comes in from the sort of wide third man fence, and they go through for a single. This is good over for New Zealand after some expensive ones. Just the 3 from it so far, 2 leg byes and a single. And if you play in the fantasy league, Kane Williamson, unsurprisingly, currently got the most
James,
points.
have you been playing the fantasy
I
league?
haven't, no.
No.
I always depress myself, to be honest, because I never get anywhere near winning. And I like to think my cricket knowledge is quite good, and it just makes you realise it's just all luck fantasy. As the next ball's defended off his stumps, that's been a very good over by Adam Milne. Just the one off the bat. It was none for 15 from his first. It was now none for 16 after 2. He's hauled himself back into this match and is walking away with a little bit more purpose after that. 6 over power play is over. Australia 43 for 1.
Yeah, it was a big call to stick with Milne there for over number 6 after what happened in the 4th over, but Williamson showed his cojones and showed his faith in the right arm quick to get that very, very strong response from him. It was.
I hope he didn't show his cojones.
No, he didn't. No, sorry, he demonstrated it. No, it's still the same, isn't it?
I think that's a finable offence in a T20 World Cup final.
Anyway, he got the right result. Here is the bowling change now. Ish Sodhi,
yeah, and
first spin.
It's not the spinner we were anticipating, because we saw Santner warming up. Maybe that was when Williamson was still thinking, shall I bowl Milne again, shall I bring somebody else on? And Santner had maybe given the kind of tentative green light, but obviously,
sort of stuck his hand up there a bit,
I mean, the from Williamson's point of view there, obviously it's come good. That it doesn't do Milne any harm, that to know his captain trusts him enough to say, yeah, you went for a few, but I still trust you to bowl well. That's a bit of turn there for Sodhi as it turns into the left-handed Warner, and he just nudges it through mid-wicket, and it's the single off the first ball of the 7th over. 129 runs are required by Australia, 83 balls left of the T20 World Cup final, and the end of a long and enjoyable tournament is coming to an end. We're not far away from seeing a captain, Aaron Finch or Kane Williamson, will be the man lifting the trophy at the end of this evening in the UAE. As Sodhi comes in again, bowls. Mitch Marsh has had a good start to his innings. He's defending into the leg side. He's defended strongly enough to get a single down to the edge of the 30-yard circle. Fielder comes in from the long-on boundary and keeps it to 1. 45 for 1, 6.2 overs gone. I was actually talking to the taxi driver this morning about the T20 World Cup, and he's almost become my personal driver now because he's picked me up a few times to bring me in here. And Sodhi comes in again, bowls to Warner, and that's short, and he's wasn't that short, but he's flapped it down to wide long on. They'll come back for 2 as Guptill has to go a bit of a distance around to his left. So 2 more to the score. Win predictor, well, win predictor, which I don't trust too much, but on this occasion I do. 50% each. Win predictor can't decide which side of the fence to come down on, whether that's just artistic impression for the final to build the tension, or whether that's a scientific method. But I reckon it's about right. I don't think there's a huge amount between these two teams. 126 runs required from 81 balls. 3 balls left of Ish Sodhi's first over. And Warner this time is just, again, nudging it into the leg side, just trying to get the singles at the moment, Australia. And 48 for 1 after 6.4. We were talking about which sides can be proud of themselves going home and which sides can go home thinking, well, that was a dead loss. Bangladesh certainly fit into the dead loss category. West Indies, I don't think, will take too much pride from their performances in the tournament. Sri Lanka might be just kind of bordering on dead loss as Sodhi is driven into the offside by Mitch Marsh. It's gone out to extra cover, and it's again just the single.
Ireland?
Ireland, yeah, be disappointed not to have qualified for the Super 12 stage.
Well, they've got to now qualify for the next edition as
Yes.
well, aren't they? Where Scotland,
Yeah,
Scotland have got through. They don't have to qualify.
Yeah, they're inked in, aren't they, for next time, alongside Namibia.
Yeah.
The two that got through from that qualification tournament, I actually really enjoyed, because you're seeing a few countries I don't get to see very often. Sodi to finish his over, none for 6 so far off 5. It's going to be none for 7, and so he gets pushed into the leg side by David Warner, and that's the 50 up for Australia. 7 overs gone. Warner's on 24, Marshy's on 19, and Australia will be reasonably happy, but I do think it's on a knife edge, this. I do think it is.
Yeah, whilst the wickets are in hand, and there's so many, strong 6-hitters still to come for Australia, you'd fancy them to get there. But I think it is, like I say, very close on a knife edge, and it could turn on one delivery. I thought we had a big turning point initially when Finch got out to that great catch from Mitchell, but they have rebuilt very strongly. Marsh has come in and picked up where Finch hadn't really left off. Finch, Marsh has gone much better than Finch was going prior to his dismissal, and Warner's carried on at a runner ball. He seems to be playing a little bit more of an anchor knock now, doesn't he? As Marsh has taken the bigger responsibility for the boundary scoring. So it seems like an interesting sort of not role reversal, but you'd expect Warner, probably having been there the longest, to be the more aggressive.
Spin from both ends as the left arm of Santner comes in. He sees Warner advance, he drops that a bit shorter, ends up kind of cutting that away through cover in the end, and Phillips keeps it to a single. I guess, that's one of the things with T20. You can be flexible both in the field and the way you rotate your bowlers, but also in the way you bat as well. Warner can temper his aggressive role because he sees Marsh getting off to a flyer, and therefore maybe thinks, well, I'll let Mitch fly and see if I can just nudge the ones and get Mitch onto strike. If it's his day, then I'm happy to play second fiddle. I'll make sure that I'm still here if Mitch gets out. It's 122 required, 77 balls are left. Santner's going to go around the wicket to the right-handed Marsh. 51 for 1. Kane Williamson just adjusts his field a little bit, and Santner comes, as I say, around the wicket to bowl to the right-handed number 3, and this time Marsh is swinging it leg side, and I tell you what, he's got hold of that one. That has gone a long way. It's been caught in the crowd as well. Well done, sir. He's happy with himself, and I'll tell you what, Mitch Marsh is too. 25 off 12.
First smile we've had from the Pakistan fans all day, because 3 of them were around the man who took the catch, and clearly all friends there. That was of course a fantastic shot from Marsh, down on one knee, picking the length of that Santner delivery and just depositing him high over the top of deep square leg for that gigantic 6, his second of the match.
At the moment, Mitch Marsh is proving himself to be the difference, as next ball is down the leg side. He just turns that one through square leg. Fielder comes in quickly, and Phillips is very quick across the turf, gets to the ball very quickly, gets it airborne very quickly, and it certainly puts the batsman on that occasion off, coming back for the second. Seeing the replay of that shot by Marsh, it was a real big full swing of the bat, and that got absolutely clobbered, didn't it? Absolutely clobbered. Santner comes in again, bowls, and this time it's turned into the leg side by Warner. Warner set off very quickly for the first one. Fielder comes in and stops them going back for the second, but good intent shown by David Warner. He was up for the second, ran the first one quickly, and then obviously made to readjust his decision. Didn't go back for the second, but always give yourself the chance to do so if it's required. 59 for 1, 7.4 overs gone. They've taken 17 off the last 12. They need 114 from the next 74 to win the World Cup. That turns away from Marsh. That's the first bit of spin that we've seen today, and maybe just took a bit of pace off that Santner and allowed it to grip a little bit more.
Fold it a little bit wider as well, but like you say, he's hit a nice sweet spot there on the wicket, because it's really gripped that, and it's turned away from a swinging bat that connected with nothing.
He bowls again. This time Marsh is just driving. Very easy little push down to long on, and that finishes the 8th over. Marsh has gone to 27 off 15. He's absolutely flying. Warner's 26 off 26. After 8 overs, it's 60 for 1, and Australia need 113 more to win. 72 balls left.
Yeah, they're ahead of where New Zealand were by some distance. New Zealand 57 for 1 after 10 overs. Australia already beyond that, with still 12 overs to go in the match. Marsh getting a drink, getting a towel. He was spraying something on his hands. Or what's he spraying on his hands? It's like a grip, is it? He's spraying for an extra grip.
It'd be like it's an anti-sweat kind of thing.
Antiperspirant, yeah.
Yeah, so you basically stop your hands getting sticky. And so David Warner's taken a little bit of a bite of it as well. Well, not a bite, he's taken a bit of a handful of it. Yeah. You don't want to bite it, I don't think it tastes very nice. But yeah, it kind of just dries your hands off so that your gloves don't get wet and you don't get the bat just moving in your hand.
Yeah.
Because it is very...
He's doing that every couple of overs, he's having that.
I've been out there a few times, and it is that kind of muggy heat. It's a sweaty heat. If you dare, I mean, I don't move very fast.
No.
I'm happy to sit in the shade and just soak up the heat. But when you're running around in it, you will be sweating.
This is Ish Sodhi. Who's in next?
Yeah, gets set ball right on the top of off stump, and that's carved away into the offside by Marsh. He gets another single. Hasn't had too many dot balls. Marsh, just that one ball that's spun away from him by Santner. It's the only dot ball I can really think of. And maybe a shorter ball as well that he maybe didn't quite deal with. But apart from that, he's been absolutely brilliant since he's come in today. 61 for 1. Sodhi, right arm over to the uncapped David Warner, who cross-batted, slaps it down to mid-on, and he's got enough of that one. That's gone all the way for 4. I thought for a second that was just going to trickle down to long on. It just gathered pace. He timed that beautifully.
Yeah, very flat shot from Warner, very straight as well. But he absolutely flew, as you say, and nothing that the sliding fielder could do about that. Was it Phillips? I'm not sure. He wasn't. Put the dive in. Couldn't stop it from going to the boundary though. So yeah, Australia in full cry now. They're on the charge here. New Zealand definitely need a wicket. They need this momentum to be checked if they're going to have any chance of defending 172.
Warner's 30 off 27. As Sodhi comes in again, he goes for the reverse, and he ends up just kind of taking a little bit off that and just nudges it through what would have been the point area if he'd stayed in his left-handed stance. And he comes up for the second. Yeah, that's terrific stuff from Australia. There's a real lot of intent. Yeah, they're up for this. They know the significance of this. They know they need to maximise everything. They'd be more than happy to try and knock these off in 18, 19 overs rather than make it a nervy finish. And Warner there just set off like a train, didn't he? And turned. Never in doubt he was going to come back for 2.
ball to Marsh.
It's kind of their version of Mitch Marsh, really, because he's not express pace, Jimmy Neesham. But we've seen in the IPO, when the conditions allow and he can nibble it around a little bit, he can be very dangerous in this format.
Comes in here to the right-handed Marsh and balls. This one's a bouncer and it's been pulled away over the head of deep square leg for 6 runs. Watch out below. That was going at flat 6 head height, straight into the glass behind the stand.
Well, there's the 6 off the over.
The BCCI in the ICC office.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good ball, was it? I mean, if you're going to bowl short, you need to get it more off stump than that, because that was leg side. He's just helped it on its way. He's got a big bat, big arms, and that flew away, and that's gone right into that pane of glass. Fortunately, it looks like it's reinforced glass.
Yeah, Neesham bowls again. This one is driven into the ground, fielded in the covers by Williamson. There is no run.
But when you take a 6 off the first ball,
yeah,
you're kind of just going through the motions for the rest of it as a batting side. There's no pressure on. If you get another boundary, then that's great. But you just take 1s off the rest of it. You take 11 off the over. That's that keeps them very much in the hunt, doesn't it?
This hitting big off the first ball of the over is something we've seen Marsh do throughout his innings. For his first ball, remember, went for 6 and then 2 4s after it. He's definitely in that mode today where he wants to go big off the first ball of the over and relieve the pressure, and then he plunders another shot here. This one's attempted swipe for 4 through mid-wicket, but it's stopped on the boundary edge, just be a single.
See if David Warner, Sourav Ganguly, who just avoided a serious injury, in
the ICC office.
Yeah, the current CEO, I think, of the BCCI.
Yeah. They'll be like a
former skipper.
BCCI will still be the host sort of organisers, won't they? Even though it's not being played in India.
Yeah, it's still their tournament. I think even on the a lot of the stationery, it still says India. It's their tournament. It's just in a different place.
Comes in again, Neesham bowls to Warner, who goes for a big shot through the onside. This one's gone very high, it's gone very far as well. Another 6 for Warner, that takes him to 50. It's a huge shot, and it's Australia now 95 for 1, charging to victory. They need 78 off 56.
This is terrific stuff, isn't it? For Australian fans watching this, there'll have been an element of nerves. You go into any final, especially T20, which is a format which one man can pretty much take it away from you. But Warner's come out with such intent here. 51 off 34. You got Marsh at the other end, 37 off 23. These two, any nerves that were in that Australian dugout are subsiding very quickly. Look at that. His last 10 balls, he's only had 1 dot ball, and he's had 4 boundaries in there. There's 2 6s in there. He has suddenly exploded into this final.
So, what does Neesham do next? He's gone for 13 off his first 4 balls as he comes in again to deliver. This one's full on middle stump, and it's worked away by Warner with a cross bat out towards the mid-wicket boundary. Phillips fields, they take a single, and Australia now 96 for 1.
I'm struggling to see now. I think we've got to the stage now where I'm struggling to see how New Zealand can win this. I mean, they can obviously, take a load of wickets, all of a sudden, things change. But the way this match is going, the way that pitch is playing, the way these two are playing, the batsmen that are still to come, this is now not just an uphill task. This is Everest now for New Zealand. They're letting this match get away from them very quickly. 77 off 55. We're not that far off it being a runner ball.
Slow ball from Neesham, pushed away into the offside by Marsh. They'll be happy with that. Another single, but it's a big over from Australia. 97 for 1 after 11, and it's now just 76 required from 54 balls. 15 off the over, and New Zealand are in a big hole now. I mean, we thought that they had a semi-competitive total. It looks like, just like both semi-finals look like, in the end, they were probably about 15 to 20 runs short.
Yeah, absolutely. If they got 190 or something, I mean, scoreboard pressure in any form of cricket is huge. You look up at, even if you're playing well, you look up at the scoreboard and you still think, oh, blimey, we still need 12 and over from here. We're 12 overs out. That makes a big difference to the shot selection, to your confidence in playing those shots. At the moment, Australia, in the same way that we mentioned the way England play this format, they've come out of the traps racing. They've got themselves so far ahead in this game now. 76 off 54, 2 or 3 good overs now, and that is a runner ball, and then it's a walk in the park. Australia at this rate could win this final inside 18.
Santner is going to continue round the wicket to Mitch Marsh. bowls wide of the crease. This one's cut away off the back foot. It's misfielded by Williamson. They're going to get a single here when they perhaps shouldn't have had one. Guptill comes in from the deep and ensures they don't take a second. 98 for 1.
I mean, I know a lot of people in England, obviously, which is where we are. I've seen a lot of kind of people say, "I don't want Australia to win." New Zealand, yeah, we owe them one kind of thing for the 2019 World Cup. It's, don't want to see them being bridesmaids again. I'm afraid the bridesmaids' dresses are being ordered, aren't they, and delivered.
Santner over the wicket now to Warner, who gets onto it, not quite on one knee, but pulls away down to square leg for a single. Good return to Seifert, but there is another run there to Australia. 99 for 1.
Yeah, it's not looking good for New Zealand, and another psychological barrier is about to be broken with Australia going past one more run to get to 3 figures. Then that the runs required 74. That can go very quickly.
Santner bowls again. This one's pulled into the deep, and is it caught? It is.
That could change things. Has he caught that? Has he caught it?
Don't think he's claiming it. Phillips.
Oh, wow.
Great piece of fielding in the deep anyway, but I don't think he's claiming. I think he just bounced in front of it, but it's great fielding from Phillips. They took 1 run anyway to him out there in the deep. He just didn't quite carry.
I want to see the replay of this one, because I'll tell you, it's a great effort, isn't it? It's a great effort. He just catches it on the half volley. Yeah, he couldn't have done any more than that. You can't criticise Glenn Phillips there. He was almost kind of horizontal as he just tried to get through. Justin Langer clapping the 100 up.
Santner bowls again, and this one, it's a slight mistimed flick by Warner. It comes off the pad. There's a half shout from Santner. Umpire isn't interested, and neither is Williamson. 101 for 1.
You could see Langer's face there. He's starting to believe now, isn't he? And when you see things like that, when that doesn't quite carry, he's thinking, this is our day today. This is our day. On another day, that goes straight into his hands. You lose 2 quick wickets, and all of a sudden it's back in the mix. Australia seem to be having things their own way, don't they?
Marsh is just tying his shoelaces up, so we got a slight delay in proceedings midway through the 12th over. 101 for 1. 71 to tie, 72 to win here for Australia. Here is Santner to Marsh, who waits and pulls another slightly loose ball all the way to the boundary for 4. Shocking from Santner, got what it deserved, and a great finish to the over for Australia now, 105 for 1.
With all due respect to Mitchell Santner, that was utter garbage, wasn't it? I mean, I reckon I'd fancy my chances of putting that one away for 4. Marsh could just wait for that. He could eye up where the field is, and he could just find the gap. That was awful. Santner's better than that. That was half track.
There was a dive from a fielder in close. I think maybe Williamson to try and get a hand to that, but it was lasered past him. Power and real disdain from Marsh there on that shot. Is Santner again to try and improve. Bowls another short one. This one's pulled into the ground though. He was stretching for it, and it's going to bobble out towards wideish long on for a single. But he'll keep the strike. Marsh, he's moved to 45, closing in on his own half century. New Zealand in big trouble now. Australia 106 for 1.
9 from the over. They need roughly that, don't they, to win this tournament. Anything more than that, and they're kind of making inroads into doing it a lot quicker. And the way it's going, you just fancy that David Warner or Marsh are just going to open their shoulders in an over and take sort of 22 off an over and get them home pretty quickly. We've already seen Warner and Marsh hit 6s in this innings, and just seeing the worm on the screen there, the black line for New Zealand, the sort of gold and the yellow line for Australia. The yellow worm very much in advance of where the New Zealanders were at the same stage, and just the 1 wicket down. As I say, I think this is Australia's to lose from here. I think if Australia lose this final from here, there'll be an inquest, because they have this under control.
Yep, so Trent Boult is the go-to guy for Kane Williamson. He's got 2 overs left and needs to bowl 1 now.
Why do you go to a World Cup final and spend all your day making a beer snake and not watching the cricket? I don't understand that.
Trent Boult comes in. He's only gone for 5 runs off his first 2 overs. Left arm over the wicket, bowls. This one's on the stumps and it's stroked away again. Williamson can't cut the single off, and they go through for 1.
That's almost like a metaphor or whatever for this tournament, this final, isn't it? Just out of reach of Williamson, and it's he's diving left and right and can't quite cut it off. He nearly got to 100. It's like a nearly day for Kane Williamson rather than the day that he was hoping for, and he nearly won the toss, but obviously there's only two permutations there, and Australia winning the toss just kind of felt like it set the tone in the context of this World Cup when we're talking about it being a T20 tournament very much ruled by who wins the toss.
Bolt balls again. Oh, he's bowled him. He's got one through. Warner went for the big slog over mid-wicket, and he's missed it. Bolt gets the wicket that New Zealand desperately needed, 107 for 2.
And that's why Williamson has brought Trent Bolt back in, probably earlier than he was hoping to. But he's his premier bowler who can be, incredible. He's the wicket taker in T20. He said to him, Trent, I need you to bowl me now your best 6 balls. I need a wicket. I need 2 wickets. Take your hat-trick. Get us back into this match. Well, he's taken the wicket of David Warner, who, fair enough, can walk off this track today. He can be very happy with his performance. He'll be disappointed he's not seen it through, but 53 off 38 has set up his country to be very much in control of this final at 107 for 2. Despite that wicket, Australia still very much the favourites.
Yeah, it's been a proud and professional knock from David Warner, but as you say, hasn't quite been able to see it through. It just opens the door slightly for the Black Caps. Trent Bolt will need to bowl and maintain that level, really, and probably Kane Williamson might have to gamble here with his bowling plans for the final few overs as well, and maybe bowl another over from Bolt to try and set Australia a little bit further back.
Oh yeah, because the spin just wasn't working, was it? That ball by Santner in the last in his last over. I could have backed myself to bowl better than that. That was awful, and quite rightly got smashed for 4. But the spinners just haven't exerted any control for Kane Williamson. There's been very little dot balls. Glenn Maxwell, though, you get rid of David Warner, Maxwell walks into the middle, and he is more than capable of finishing this off very quickly, although he hasn't had the best tournament.
Here is Trent Bolt then bowling. This one's back of a length, and an attempted cut from Maxwell's horrible lack of foot movement shot there. He was absolutely rooted to the crease, and it almost gave catching practice there to.
I'll tell you what, if that had just caught the outside edge and Bolt had been on that hat trick, then all of a sudden you start to think, maybe, just maybe, but just missed the outside edge. You can see Trent Bolt pumped up. That wicket's just got him fired up, hasn't it?
Here comes again Trent Bolt. A wicket and a dot ball. Another attempted bouncer, almost pulled onto it. He's actually pulled it in front of square there as Maxwell, but he's mistimed it into the ground, and it's another dot ball. This is a big over from New Zealand now. 4 balls, 1 wicket, 1 run taken at this crucial phase of the game when they were starting to fall too far behind. It's now 66 from 44, so they need 1.5 runs a ball.
9 runs and over, isn't it? Exactly 9 and over.
Yeah.
It's as the fielding side. Can you just use that wicket as a way of getting a few dots and just pushing that into double figures?
Bolton
that required
again,
rate.
Outside the off stump, played away with an open face out towards cover. Deep cover is Phillips. Good return throw. They're not going to take him on for the second, so just a single there. 108 for 2.
If that required rate could just get up to 10, then they can increase it to 11, then 12, then 13, and all of a sudden you can start to put a little bit of pressure on the Aussies. Australia will be very mindful of that as well, that they don't want to go too much into their shell after losing the wicket of David Warner.
Trent Bolt comes in again, final ball of the over. Here's to Mitchell Marsh. This one is fallen, it's just scraped away down the ground. I think he knew what he was doing there, Marsh. Didn't go with a big backlift shot, he just jabbed at it really, sort of check shot through mid-on, and that's a single to finish the over. He rotates the strike and keeps the strike for the start of the 14th over, where it's 109 for 2.
Yeah, just the 3 singles for that and the wicket, and Trent Bolt, those figures, 3 overs, 2 for 8 from the left armour. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't see him again, just to try and take another wicket, just because there's no point in leaving him for the 19th over if Australia have already won by then. So Trent, you do your job now, and we'll think about the 19th, 20th over should we get there. I think that's the way Kane Williamson's looking at this. 7 overs left, 64 runs, 8 wickets left. Australia, if they lose from here, they will be very, very disappointed indeed.
Ish Sodhi will bowl over number 14, comes in and bowls wide of the off stump. That one is going to be wide, did I think? No?
Yeah, it shouldn't have been. That's just inside the mark.
He's given a wide.
I think that's a bit harsh.
It was turning away from the right-handed bat from Sodi, and it may have just sneaked into that sort of grey area there. Ooh. But umpire was giving no leeway to the bowler, so he comes in again to start his over and bowls. This one's played.
Oh wow!
Slog deep for 6 runs.
That's huge.
Almost second tier.
I reckon that's the biggest of the day. That's he's got that right out the meat of the bat. And Mitch Marsh is batting beautifully. That's his 53 off 31 for Marsh. He's been proactive since he's come out. 3 boundaries right at the start of his innings, and he's just kept the foot down, hasn't he, and kept going. And at the moment he is going to win this T20 World Cup for his country. 53 not out, 31 balls, and there's no sign of him stopping.
No, looks like it looks like Mitch Marsh is on course for a potential man of the match award here if he guides his team home. His next delivery slogged away through mid-wicket, out towards the boundary. Relay work on the edge there by Guptill, and Phillips keeps him down to 2.
I think in terms of the man of the match, you've got to think about this today. There's been a few of the seamers that have bowled really well. Cummins, Hazelwood. We've seen Trent Boult do the same. So if you get it in the right place as the seamer, you can get very good figures. Batting wise, it's Williamson, it's Warner, and it's Marsh. And Marsh is looking like he's going to win it.
Sodi in again, drags one down.
Oh,
Marsh, one hand off the bat, slogs it out towards mid-wicket. 4 more.
Dross, isn't it?
It is.
That's a half track. It's a long hop.
I wonder if dew is a factor here. We've said that.
I mean, let's be charitable and say it is,
yeah.
But yeah. Otherwise, that's just awful. That's just awful.
51 off 39 needed now. Dragged down.
If you're Kane Williamson, you've just taken that wicket of Trent Boult, you're looking for another tight over. You're looking to turn the screw. Just keep that pressure on. Just make Australia doubt themselves. And what have we seen? A wide 6, 2 and 4. And all of that pressure, that valve has just been released again.
Yep. Ish Sodi comes in again. And this is another wide one. This is a horrible over.
That is a wide. I'll agree with Mr. Kettleborough on that occasion. Yeah. This is. I mean, Kane Williamson's just looking on. He's just thinking, what do I do? You know, Sodi's such a good bowler, and he's just not bowling like it. Santner's not bowled very well either. The 2 spinners for New Zealand have been well off the pace, haven't they?
Well, the Scots have a word for this, and it rhymes with ish.
Yeah.
He's about to come in again here, Sodi. A bowl. And this one is chopped into the ground. Almost took his off stump out there as a lack of foot movement there from Marsh. Almost did for him, but he gets away with one, and he just bounces safely away for no run.
But yeah, I was talking about the required run rate getting into the 10s, 11s, 12s. Well, it's not, is it? Because it's come right down after this over. There's just, as I said, the pressure has been completely released.
Sodi in again, past the umpire. This one's another wide. It's his third of the over. It's either a combination of of dew on the ball or the yips there, I think.
Kane Williamson is the nicest man in cricket, but I think even he wants to turn around and fill the air with blue words, because he's not looking particularly happy with life. Somebody's kind of letting. I mean, you can't blame one player. Everybody has bad times, but this is a really poor over, isn't it?
Can he get out this over? Bowls again. Another slog from Marsh into the ground, fielded by Williamson. A dot ball and a welcome one from Ish Sodi. He's trying to bowl a very tight line here. He's trying to bowl it wide of the batsman's off stump and get it to spin further away from the swinging arc of Mitchell Marsh's bat, but he's giving himself no room to work with. He bowls again down that line. This time Marsh does connect and gets it wide of Williamson out towards the fielder in the deep, the sweeper. Just be 1 to Phillips. 125 for 2 at the end of a nightmare 14th over, in which, James, they scored how many runs?
A lot. A lot, Simon. I mean, it's too long for me to add up. The over just kept going and going and going. But yeah, I mean, damage was done there, wasn't it? 125 for 2, 48 required, 6 overs left. So it's this is pretty straightforward for Australia from here, with 8 wickets still in the hut, 6 overs out. Yeah, I'd say 99 times out of 100. I reckon even more than that, Australia win from here. This isn't going to be the nail-biting finish we were hoping for. They require exactly 8 and over. They've got a man in form in the middle who is hitting boundaries left, right and centre. and you've got plenty of batting still to come. You've got Matthew Wade yet to be seen, who hit 3 successive sixes to win the match the other day. So yeah, they've brought Milne back into the attack instead of giving Bolt his final over, and it's a case now of saying, come on Adam, get me another wicket, get me 2 wickets, then we'll bring Trent Bolt on again, get me another 2 wickets, to make this 125 for 2 into like 138 for 6 or 7, and all of a sudden this is a different match. But you just can't see that happening, can you?
No, I think this could be over in the next 3 overs. They might do it with quite a bit to spare. They need 50 runs now, less than that, 48 runs. They could do it, I think, in 3.5 overs from here, if these two stay together. Maxwell's obviously not got going yet, really. He's only faced 3 balls. Here's Milne, who bowls. This one's a good delivery on off stump, and Marsh pays it full respect by knocking it straight back to the bowler.
Oh, we saw, I mean, Milne will be thinking back to his first 3 balls that disappeared for 14 runs, didn't they? Because ever since then, he's it's kind of using that metaphor with Williamson earlier, but see this ball floating down to, well, not floating, it was flying down to Mitchell. It lands about half a foot in front of his fingers.
Second time Marsh has got away with one there, because there was one to Phillips earlier on in his innings, wasn't there?
So Mitchell sticks his tongue out, knows how close that could have been.
Milne in again to Maxwell, who goes big out towards the leg side, and he's got it away for 4 runs between the man at fine leg and deep square leg. He found that gap, and a big swing of the bat from Maxwell gets him off and running really with his first boundary. Australia 130 for 2 now, just 43 runs away.
Yeah, I mean, I think these two are just starting to enjoy themselves now. I think Mitchell Marsh has been enjoying himself since he's got out there, because it's just come off the middle of his bat right from the start. But yeah, Max was not bad at as a finisher. He likes a little bit of fun. 43 off 33 is right in his ballpark.
Milne once more to Glenn Maxwell. This one's banged in. This one's top edge over the top of the keeper, and 4 runs down to the backstop.
That's what happens when it's going your way. We talked about Kane Williamson earlier, who's doing very similar things, didn't we? But Maxwell's just chancing his arm here, getting a little bit of foot. Yeah, if you just swing hard, well, if you just swing hard is the saying, isn't it? And that's come off the outside edge, top edge, goes away for 4.
Well, it's slipping away from New Zealand. I think it's probably slipped our way now, isn't it?
I think slipping is under what's more, it's like an avalanche.
Cascading away, yeah.
It's like going to the river instead of it just floating along. It's rapids, this, isn't it?
Milne again, bowls. This one's a swing and a miss. I think it was a slightly slower ball he bowled there. Caught him out, Maxwell went for the big pull and completely threw the shot before it went through. Man in the crowd with New Zealand painted on his cheeks gives a sort of remorseful smile in the end.
Yeah, it's not going to be New Zealand's day today. Obviously, the 50 over World Cup final, they got very, very close, didn't they? And could have beaten England. So a lot of people think it's still a draw in the World Game, and that final. And today it might be a little bit more one-sided.
Milne bangs one in. This one's possibly a wide, and it is wided by umpire Erasmus, who was standing as an umpire in that final at Lord's 2 years ago. No Dharmasena today, though.
And he got it wrong, didn't he? Him and Dharmasena got it wrong, because the overthrows, they didn't allocate the right number of runs for that in the end. But yeah, I mean, that's all history. But this is now looking, I mean, 38 from 31 with 8 wickets left in a T20 on a decent batting track. There's only one team wins this from here.
Yep, and it's not the team in black. Great run from New Zealand to get to the final. They lost the first game of the tournament, of course, to Pakistan, well beaten in that match, but then went to a run of 5 successive wins before meeting their match when losing the toss to Australia, and Australia have done the job here by the look of things. They need 40, less than 40 to win now, 38. Just goes down to 37 after that scrambled single that came off the back.
It's gone down 3 in one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not missing any cricket here. It's just poor commentary.
that's how fast it's slipping away, listeners. It's going down all the time. But yeah, I mean, Marsh, I think, is man of the match here. Even if he's out next ball, assuming Australia win, the impetus he gave the Australian innings when he came in, hitting a 4, 6, and 4 in his first 3 balls. He stayed so far ahead of on the strike rate since then. He encouraged David Warner to then get himself in. Gave David Warner the opportunity to face 21 balls or so before he kind of really started to muscle it, and then David Warner came in on the act. But Marsh's 61, I think, is the difference between these two sides. And Australia look as if they're going to get their name on the trophy for the very first time. Going to be a new winner today, regardless. But it looks like it's going to be the Aussies.
37 off 30. Walk in the park for any team of this level, with 8 wickets in hand, and batsmen like Maxwell and Marsh at the crease.
Australians in the crowd looking as if they're starting to celebrate here. Things we've seen sporting events change course and go wrong, and twist in the tail, but this would be a massive twist. Southie. Sorry, I was taking over from you. Swing away for 4. Anyway, regardless of whether it's myself or Simon commentating on it, it's 4 runs, and it's a procession now, isn't it, for Australia? New Zealand is struggling to really make it even difficult for Australia at the moment. And it looks like the Australians are flying towards victory. I think that might come off the pads of Glenn Maxwell down to the fence, but the Australian dugout will not care one iota as the first ball goes away to the fence. Required rate 6.83. The next one, he tries to swing that one away leg side. Will it be a wide? It is. Umpire Kettleborough sticks his arms out. Maxwell's more disappointed he didn't hit that one for 6. I think he felt he should have helped that one on its way into the stands, but it's a wide, so 4 was off the bat, and then a wide to follow. 32 off 29 required. 141 for 2. It's yet to break into full smiles in the Australian dugout, but I'm sure they're feeling quite confident. The Southie bowls again. This is short, and he has helped this on its way this time, and that's got all the way for 6. Sodhi's a tall man, but he can't reach up and pluck that one out the sky. Maxwell finally gets his wish and deposits one over the deep square boundary for 6 runs, and now it's less than a run a ball. 26 required, 28 balls remain.
A lot of runs Australia have scored in that region, and I think they just bowled too short. New Zealand, I mean, particularly Southie and Mill, less so Bolt, who's been pretty good. Even Neesham got deposited over that side a couple of times when.
And when they've bowled short, it's tending to be heading down towards the leg side as well. It's on the hip, isn't it, as he helps that one away. He hasn't quite got that, clothed that one down to Ish Sodhi on that occasion. Just going to be the 1 run, and it's now 25 required from 27, and Maxwell's frustrated with himself again. Yeah, he's kind of been angling in on the hip or the kind of rib region, so a batsman's just been able to kind of get bat on it and help it over the ropes, whereas if it's a little bit more on the right shoulder or just outside the off stump, and you have to fetch it a little bit more, that's when the top edge can come into play. But the line's been all wrong from New Zealand today when it's been short. And Southie getting a bit of punishment in this over. Next ball, that's good. He tries to swing that one away leg side. In the end, Marsh gets completely disorientated, gets sent back by Maxwell, and the upshot is a dot ball. Not many of those have happened recently. 148 for 2. The target of 173. He's getting what seems like it's going to be just a few hits away. 61 for Marsh. Maxwell's on 21. None for 32 for the bowler. And Mitch Marsh, T20 internationals in 2021, averaging 35. And this is his 650. Best of 75. He could go past that if he's still there at the end. Southie bowls, and that's swung away leg side. It might be a leg bye as Saif at the keeper goes after the ball. It's a run regardless, and the young lady in the crowd that's got a heart on one cheek and NZ on the other is well, she started to perk up when she sees herself on the big screen, but she was looking a bit gloomy before that, because it's not her day today. It's not the New Zealanders' day. It looks like it's going to be Australia Day in Dubai. 1 ball left of the 16th over. New Zealand are having a little bit of a conflab. Might be a bit too late to change tactics here, because the writing might be on the wall. 149 for 2 Australia.
Yeah, well, they've faced a bit of criticism at home, haven't they? They're not really taking this format particularly seriously, or not been as data-driven as some of the other top nations in recent times, but it's come together on the day for them. Obviously, toss played a big factor, as we think, as well.
Last ball of the over, and that's cut away, and it's an under edge, end up bobbling away towards the point fielder. So another dot ball to finish with. But the equation is very, very simple. We have 4 overs to go. They are 24 runs short of victory, and there are exactly 24 balls to bowl.
Who's your player of the tournament, James?
Oh, player of the tournament. I mean, Zampa's got to be in the equation. If you're thinking about Australia, Warner's got to be in it because he's had a good tournament. Josh Butler, from an English perspective, I think is England's player of the tournament and would be in the discussion. From New Zealand side of things, I mean, they are very much a team, aren't they? There's standout individuals. I mean, Guptill and opening partner, name escapes me. Mitchell have had a very good few weeks, but I think if I was going to come down on one, I would go with probably Adam Zampa.
I thought you were going to say Babar Azam, your man crush.
I mean, Baba's in there. I mean, Rizwan hauling himself off his hospital deathbed to play in the semi-final is an incredible feat of determination, isn't it? As Bolt's back into the attack, he pitches it up and he's driven down the ground. That's been timed nicely. Can a fielder get it? He can, just inside the ropes. Jimmy Neesham comes around to his right. It's going to be 2 more to Mitch Marsh, and he goes to 63. Yeah, I mean, that was superb. I mean, Babar and Rizwan and Shaheen Sharafridi, Haris Rao for Pakistan, they've played some superb cricket.
I mean, Adil Rashid?
Rashi's in there. He's bowled nicely.
Didn't bowl well in the semi-final, but the group, I thought it was brilliant.
You kind of end up getting defined by your last performance, almost like Chris Jordan has done. I thought he bowled really well in the tournament, Chris Jordan, and the semi-final kind of let him down. Next ball swung away leg side, short ball. That's 4 runs, 1 bounce, absolutely powers over the boundary, and Mitch Marsh is enjoying himself out there. I think he knows he's pretty much done this. 18 now required off 22. There's 3 big shots away. Get Matthew Wade out there. We could be done in 3 balls.
Yeah. I mean, how many of these Australians would actually make it into a team of the tournament? I mean, obviously they're all performing now in this final situation. But I don't know. I think it's really hard to sort of come up with a team of the tournament because the teams have been so evenly matched.
Bolt's driven down too long off. It's going to be another single for Mitch Marsh halfway through the 17th. 17 runs away from Aaron Finch getting his grubby little mitts on the T20 World Cup trophy. And he will be delighted, I'm sure. There'll be some celebrations in that Australian dressing room. There'll be a few Castlemaine 4Xs or Fosters or whatever their choice of drink.
Tooheys new, mate. Tooheys new. They were written off before the tournament, really. Australia, not given much of a chance of winning. Anyway, they perhaps
not by the bookies. They weren't. They were kind of in the equation by the bookies. But I don't think anybody really took them that seriously in terms of a bet. That's short and left alone by Maxwell. It's a dot ball. I'd be really interested to know how many people actually backed Australia at the start of this tournament. I wouldn't have thought there'd be very many. Only the very waltzing Matilda kind of Aussies would have been doing that, I think, because I think if you're going to have a bet, you'd have been looking at India, who were probably too short at the start. England would have been one of the favourites, and people that would have taken a lot of money. Pakistan, West Indies, Australia, some of those would have been maybe outsiders for people to maybe just have a value play, but I think Australia were maybe a bit too short. As Bolt is down the leg side, that's going to be a wide, and with the short price and the name Australia, I think a lot of people would have avoided them at the start of this tournament. But obviously getting off to a decent start, and they've kind of kept saying all the way through this on the commentary that you don't win a tournament at the start, you win it at the end. And they've just got gradually better and started to believe. Some of their important players have come into form as the sort of Super 12s came to an end, and then they hit the semi-finals. By the time you get yourself into the final 4, anybody can win it. You just need 2 good performances, and Australia are the team that have played better over the last 2 matches.
Yeah, they were completely taken apart by England in that second group match. At that point, they looked as though they were going to really struggle to make it through that cutthroat group. Obviously, New Zealand came through a slightly easier section with Scotland and Namibia in, but Australia were really up against it when they lost to England, but they've just won out since then.
So Bolt's still believing, but he's Gets a dot ball there. Oh no, in fact, he's called through for a single as it goes to short third man. So one more to the score for Glenn Maxwell. Trent Bolt's just trying to get something to happen here, trying to take a wicket, trying to make something a little bit more difficult for Australia, but at the moment it is an absolute procession as Maxwell and Bolt, after that shot was hit, run into each other and share a bit of a laugh in the middle of the park. Nice to see there. New Zealand's being embraced by an Aussie. That probably doesn't happen very often. One ball left of the 17th over. And it's 158 for 2, 173 is what Australia need, and it looks like a matter of time. The engraver is probably getting his little pen out to start to put the A and the U and the S of Australia onto the trophy. Oh, he's dropped him. He's driven him back, and that kind of sums up New Zealand's day, really. It was a good ball. It was clothed back towards Bolt. His hands went above his head, and he just shelled the chance. That's the end of the 17th. 159 for 2, 14 required off 18. And Trent Bolt showing his frustration there. He was brought on to bowl his final over of the tournament to make something happen. He made it happen, and he put the chance down.
He did, and it's too little, too late. Anyway, I think
Absolutely, yeah.
The key moments have come and gone, really.
I think in that over, Trent Bolt could have taken a hat trick, and Australia would still win.
Yeah.
That's how far. I mean, 14 off 18. I mean, on the basis that a lot of teams think going into the final over, 14 gives them a very good chance to win.
To do 3 overs,
yeah. You need a couple of boundaries, and you're almost there. So with 3 overs left, New Zealand have not got a chance here. As long as Australia don't do something ridiculously stupid, they have got the trophy in their back pocket.
Yeah.
There is my man of the tournament, Adam Zampa, who I think's bowled brilliantly for Australia in the middle overs. Kind of very unheralded of one of the Aussies as well. He's not one of their kind of A-listers, is he, in terms of recognition he maybe gets. Milne bowls. That's outside the off stump. Swing and a miss. And New Zealand needs 17 more of them.
Yeah, they do. I think the moment where it could have changed course, this run chase, was the half volley catch from Phillips out in the deep, when it was a flat hit shot from Mitch Marsh that didn't quite get there. It was a great effort. Initially, I think I called it a catch, but then you saw from the reactions of the players that it wasn't being claimed by Phillips.
And there's no inkling of a criticism of Phillips in that, because he could not have done any more to get to that ball. Milne bowls, and this is struck firmly down to long off by Mitch Marsh. Just going to be the single, and that's all that Australia need at the moment. They go to 160 for 2, and we have 16 balls left of this T20 World Cup. Potentially, I think we won't need them all, because Australia will be very disappointed even if they have to use all of those to get across the line from where they are. It's been a good World Cup, so I've enjoyed working on this. We've had some very good matches. It's been nice to see the Associate Nations play.
Great news is we're back for a bit more next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, similar format.
It's one of the few benefits of the pandemic, of which there are very, very few, is that a lot of the sport's been condensed, doesn't it, into having to come back and then catch up kind of thing. So very few benefits of the
Actually,
pandemic.
a half decent crowd in for the end of this match, and it wasn't particularly good at the start, was it? But it's at least there's going to be some kind of noise at least when Australia get over the line.
In comes Milne, 13 required off 16. Oh, he goes for the big hit there. Glenn Maxwell gets another dot ball, 13 off 15. I'm trying to make it exciting. I can't see how they can lose this, but I mean,
the Aussies just want to take it to the final over for the dramatic effect, I think.
Like I said, I mean, even if you go into the final over with 13 required, so 9 more dot balls, and I still would back Australia in the final over. That's how sort of solid I think they are at the moment. There's Aaron Finch and co. Look quite happy on the sidelines. Milne bowls again. This time it's powered. Oh, has it gone to the fielder?
No.
I think that's just fallen short as well.
Another one that just falls a yard short.
Oh dear, that's 3 now, isn't it? That could have been quite easily out. And it's just not New Zealand's day, is it? It's just not happening for the Kiwis today. See this from a slightly different angle. See how close it actually came to the fielder. He took a little bit of a backward step initially. It's Tim Southey there. He couldn't have done too much more. bless him. Kane Williamson comes across and gives him a high five and says, unlucky mate. It's that kind of day for New Zealand. 13 required off 14 this time. It's on his pads, it's a full toss, it's played down to deep square, just a single. So Australia are probably taking more of these balls than I anticipated to get across the line. Just keeping
the privilege of the position that they've worked to get towards, though, isn't it, really?
New Zealand are kind of keeping them honest in terms of getting home and hosed in this. But
this is why teams do it this way. The teams get ahead of the rate, so that if there is an over like this, it isn't catastrophic. Imagine if Australia needed 30 off these overs rather than 13. One over like this would be a massive problem for them.
I mean, David Warner's stats for the tournament: 289 runs, averaging 48.17, strike rate at 146.7. He's right in there in terms of the player of the tournament. He's certainly in the team of the tournament. As Milne comes in to finish the over, and it's driven hard down to long off, just a single. That's a good over from Milne, and I tell you what, after going for 4.64 off his first 3 balls to finish with none for 30 off 4 overs, that is some performance from him to bounce back from that. But regardless, Australia need 11 from the final 2 overs to win the T20 World Cup.
Yeah, I would imagine Milne, if he stays fit, will be in the Black Cap squad for the next tournament. Of course, he was a bit of a late call-up for this one, wasn't he, with Lockie Ferguson's injury. Imagine if they'd had Ferguson. What a difference it might have made today for New Zealand. But of course, all teams have had their injury issues.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, everybody seems to have, apart from Australia. I can't think of any Australians that are missing, can you? I don't think there's too many Australians that are out injured at the moment that would have been in the first 11. So
maybe they're saving all their injury problems for the Ashes. Maybe.
We'll see for that. I mean, we've got that coming up soon as well, Simon.
Yes.
The Ashes through the winter, or December and January anyway, which is always box office, isn't it? There's Southie bowls, and that's hit straight down the ground. Has he got it? He has. It's 1 bounce, 2 bounces. The fielder tried to dive and slide. David Warner suddenly starts to believe as if he didn't a few balls ago, and it's now 7 required off 11 balls, 166 for 2.
Neesham, the fielder, couldn't get there. It was in the air a long time. It was a loopy sort of swat down the ground, but Neesham, who took that great catch earlier in the tournament, couldn't make another here. And it was just beyond his despairing dive. And
again, just out of the grasp, isn't it? The whole day has just been out of the grasp of New Zealand.
Took a running catch against Afghanistan, which was almost in a similar position, but wasn't there for him today.
7 required, 11 balls left. We are nearly at the final knock-ins of this T20 World Cup. Australia against New Zealand today, and the Aussies are coming out on top. New Zealand will be the bridesmaids again, and I'm sure their day will come because they've got a very good side. 166 for 2. Southie bowls, and that's swung away into the leg side, and it's going to be I think just the one. Do they think about the 2? They don't need to take any risks in terms of their running at the moment. It is just the 1 more to the score. 6 required off 10, so they are within 1 blow now of lifting the trophy. And you know what Glenn Maxwell's like, he likes to be on TV. They call him Big Box Office. He doesn't like that tag, but he does like the big, they call him Big Show. He does like that kind of stage. Finishing with a 6 to be beamed all over Australia for the next 48 hours would be right in his kind of ballpark, I think. 6 required from 10 balls. It is Maxwell on strike. 167 for 2. Can he finish it in 1 go? Australia on the verge. Southie comes in to bowl to Glenn Maxwell. He swings that one away leg side. He tried, but he didn't get it out of the meat of the bat. It goes down to long on. Guptill sends the ball back in. So 5 required from 9. And it would be justice really for Mitchell Marsh to hit the winning runs today, wouldn't it? Because he's been absolutely superb. Absolutely superb, Mitchell Marsh. From the minute he came into bat, he's just taken this game gradually away from New Zealand. Stoinis waits to bat. Steve Smith waits to bat. I don't think they're going to be needed. 5 required, 9 balls left. The dugout for New Zealand looks a bit glim as that's powered down to long off. It goes to the fielder. It's just going to be 1 as Jimmy Neesham fields. And Marsh's head rocks back because he knows there was a chance to maybe score a boundary at the very least. Australia now need 4 from 8. It can go along the ground now to win it for them.
Yeah, it might go to the final over this. I mean, obviously, what do you do as the New Zealand captain? Do you bring fielders in looking to save the? I mean, is there any point?
I mentioned Punjab Kings. They've thrown away matches from very similar positions to this. I'm not saying Australia will, as that's going to be helped on its way. That could be it. It's running away for 4. The Australians are pouring onto the outfield in Dubai. Mitch Marsh is wide-eyed and smiling because Australia have, powered by him in the innings in their reply, chased down the 173 required, and they have won the T20 World Cup final by 8 wickets. Congratulations to them. Commiserations to New Zealand. The fireworks go off from the top